So corny. I'm not even sorry to say sorry about it. Like that is so corny. Um hello everyone. Okay, we're now officially recording the live. They must be. There's no way, MK, that they're not, because why are you it's all those other content creators causing the problem, children to come on your live. Oh, sweet Tia, somebody's talking about me still. Meep, please. Core 4 and 5, y'all don't know how that, baby, it's already, the Core 4 is already there, so the N5 doesn't work. That's why y'all gotta stop trying to be in black people business for real. Oh, you know what, Beebs? They're on YouTube, and unfortunately, I have not posted any recently. Ooh, oh, sweet Tia, who? Because they never want to pull up. Janye, this lady, why y'all didn't pull up? Oh, Toya, yeah, you can, my love. There you go. Actually, sweet Tia, I'm not user. Ooh, I'm not actually. Oh, she's such a loser. She's still on there with her little color contacts, or she's still not showing her face at all? Okay, Shantae. Thank you, Mom. You know what? They're probably asleep. Remember, they're East Coast, babe. I'll unblock her if she wants to pull up. Matter of fact, she blocked me. Unblock me and pull up. You got so much to say, baby. Come request. Send her that. Go ahead and share the likes and tell her that. It's 12:14. I got you, dark skin. Thank you, my love. Okay. Anyway, I am actually really excited for After Sun tomorrow, y'all. I'm excited for After Sun. I'm excited for Casey and Corbin to link back up. I'm excited to hear what Parmita has to say. I hope they actually let her get her ones off about that Melody and Sincere coupling. And what else am I excited to see? I'm actually not that nervous about Casey getting his phone back. The only reason why is because it seems that I think that they're like filtering some of the stuff that they initially see. To me, that was my perception. Just based on like the Islanders that have come out so far, not all of them had a lot of nice things being said about them, but that wasn't the content that they saw first. Oh, Lacey, we will. Unfortunately, we will. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that they might be filtering some things, but what I do hope, I'm not even gonna hold you. All the people that was saying all that shit about KC all season, especially the big creators that were making some very wild claims about that man. I hope that man lawyers up and sues their asses into fucking oblivion. I hope they can't never open up their phone and turn their camera on again. I hope they can't never pay a phone bill again. Rip the fucking carpet from up under their feet, grab their edges and take them off. Like, I hope he does it all. Why is she making a 50-minute video to talk about that man like that? You know what I heard, y'all? I don't even want them to listen. I for real don't even really want them to I mean, whatever, they can sue production, but they be having hella contracts. The contracts be tight. You know what I'm saying? But what I do hope is that people go ahead, the ones, and if you want to know, I'll put some names out for you. I got some screenshots of some shit. I'll put some names out. Yeah, Nikki, I will, but we got to get to 25K. It's 259 of y'all in here. That's literally 100 likes a person. Y'all got it. Less than that, matter of fact, because y'all already at 11K. But exactly, Lacey. Okay, can I just do my claims made about Casey this season that he, in some way, shape, or form, refuted? Number one. Number one. Casey feels entitled to women's bodies and participates in grape culture and is a smexual predator that is pressuring Anaya into smexual relations. That is the first claim. Evidence that this is not true. Every single fucking night, TT and KC are fucking sleeping in that bed. Every night, KC and TT are sleeping in that fucking bed. But yes, all he wanted was Smex. All he wanted was Smex, guys. Mouth open, sleep, knock the fuck out, y'all. Knock the fuck out. But yeah, he just wanted to get in somebody's cooters. The same way when I say it's been a minute, it's literally been a minute. This is why people got to stay out of AABE. They got to stay out of black people business. She was calling him grandpa for a reason, Jada. The man said, I want kisses, cuddles, and hugs. Come on, granddad. I sure will, Barbara Batty. So, claim refuted. It was our good girl, Miss Anaya, that told us the other night that she put on that dress because Carl said he likes easy access. Shutting the door on that one. Next claim. Casey is engaging in, Casey is red-pilled. That was the claim. He is red-pilled. You have only listened to one man in that villa talk about being jealous of the women, punishing the women when they've done things that he didn't like. Come on, Aaron. Come on, Mom, Mimi. Come on. You've only heard one man doing that, but apparently he had the complexion of protection because, baby, y'all just swirlers for real. Casey was not any more misogynistic than the other misogynist men in that villa. But y'all call him red-pilled. Denied her breakfast. In fact, what you heard Casey do on more than one occasion was offer admiration and encouragement to women. You saw him lovingly hold space while still asking for accountability. Claim denied. He did. Care Bear. Casey was resentful about the door. Oh, thank you. Casey was resentful about the door. You watch Casey and Anaya have a conversation where he directly said, suppressing my emotions made me begin to feel resentment because I could not express them. Not about the door. But our other friend has reminded us 3 times already. Wait, you can unmute C. Washington, Toya. They reminded us 3 times already that they got booted off the island by their partner. Even brought it up on Family Day as a talking point. Claim denied. What else? What else do I need to refute right now? Oh, yeah, I got you. Softly Sunny, yeah, I've been here not very long. Oh, shit, y'all, how did it get that fast? It already is at 38K. Why y'all didn't say nothing to me? Damn, y'all just letting me yet. Hold on. I need to unblock somebody. Oh, wait, did you already do it? I think she's already there. Oh, Casey was aggressive. Wait, what did they make that claim about so that I can know how to refute people? Refute it. Oh, Care Bear, I just did that one. Casey is lustful. We can see that is not true. Oh, right, when he stood up. Okay, thank you. Casey is aggressive. Are you gonna hit Trinity? Yeah, bitch, I saw that video. Y'all are weird. Anaya had a conversation with Casey that same night where he said, I apologize for standing up. I just didn't feel. And she said they said it at the same time because she knew exactly what his motivation was. Only one person got walked down on that show, and it wasn't by Casey. We had another Islander tell all of the girls to shut the fuck up because he wasn't talking to them. Why wasn't he aggressive? And he also stood up. Why wasn't he aggressive? We had another Islander walk into the boys' space as well when she was trying to prove her point. Why was she not aggressive? Even if the claim had any validity, which I'm going to continue to tell you why it doesn't, if you're not going to accurately sentence people, matter of fact, you know what? Y'all acting just like the justice system for real. Y'all love the peanut of white tea supremacy, don't you? Y'all love the peanut white tea supremacy. Y'all be like, are you not embarrassed? True, child. But yeah, we don't play that happy medium. If he was aggressive, then why did he immediately take his seat as soon as she came into the space? Wait, see, Washington, are you still blocked? Shit, you're not going to be able to tell me if you're muted. He immediately sat down. He also allowed them to call him a bitch and a coward multiple times and just said, okay. That's not an aggressive response. Only one Islander has been called a bitch multiple times and a coward multiple times by other Islanders. Okay. Um, what else? What other claims I need to refute? He absolutely is going to need therapy. And what's wild is it's not even because, I mean, it is because of the Islanders, right? Don't get me wrong. It is because of some of the shit from them, right? But they move past it. You are blocked. No, you wouldn't be able to talk in here if you were blocked. But it was the people outside. Hi, Solar Goon. It was the people outside. Jopo, I did not. Yeah, you know what, Twilight? Yeah, see, Washington, I told them to unblock you. They'd be quick on the draw. No, I totally agree. But here's the thing. I've said this a lot before. What's going to be important is for people that don't feel that way about him, for them to make sure that they're very loud in their support of him, because these people are harassing me and I'm a nobody simply because I'm saying what you all are saying about this man is just factually incorrect, and it's inflammatory and it's defamatory and it's rooted in racism and anti-blackness, right? You're attacking me, a stranger, about another fucking stranger you don't fucking know. Those are the type of people that are absolutely going to seek him out to fuck with him. They're not the type of people that are like, I just don't like him and I'm just gonna not like him on my side of the internet. Those people are not well. Okay? They're not well. And Ebony, here's the thing, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not that, but it's like, truly, y'all can say whatever you want. Nobody, I didn't, anybody, Solar Goon. So it's like, I mean, if you were going to vote for somebody, honestly, I would say vote for Melanie and Sincere, because I think that they are the most likely to stay together, toxic or not, and they are the least problematic coupling, in that there's not weird age gaps or any sort of manipulation or harmful tactics happening within the dynamic. So if you were going to vote for someone, that's who I would vote for. OD Real Honey Sugar Iced Tea. You'd be surprised how trauma bonds us. And they're actually a perfect example of trauma bonding. They're a perfect example of trauma bonding. Listen, we give Melanie shit over here. Don't get me wrong, okay? We give Melanie shit, right? Because, baby, why are you taking out at the knees? Shit, stand up. You know what I'm saying? Because they're too fucking, he's 29 and she's 23. That's why. That's why. And that's me being nice and not saying all the other reasons why. But what she has experienced in that dynamic, I told y'all very early days. Nope, Chi-Chi, he turned 29 since he's been on the island. He's 29. He was 28, now he's 29. Aaliyah, I did not. And if he did, it was only because she had asked Caleb to do it. So I'm still not moving for it. No shade. No shade. If you're new to me, you may not know this. I'm never going to root for certain age gap dynamics. I'm just not, y'all. I'm not. As a person that has worked with these age dynamics and who has already lived these age dynamics, they're inappropriate. They're not appropriate right now. I'm never going to move for it. I am sorry to have to tell you that. I'm never going to move for it. And that's cut it out. So, if we want to talk about after frontal lobes are developed, that's a different conversation. Or even previous to frontal lobes developed, if we're both prefrontal, like if we're both pre that, maybe we can have that conversation. But when it's, two of these girls was in high school 4 years ago, just started being able to drink a year ago. You don't need to be with a 30-year-old. You know what, dark skin? I don't know where Shello is. Ooh, I think that maybe you just don't know what ABUSE tactics look like if you think that, Aaliyah. No shade. I'm not trying to be shady. I'm just saying that there are some things that you'll see and play. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that I'm not saying it don't exist over there either. I am saying one of these women is more susceptible to manipulation because of her youth. And one of these people, one of those men is already prefrontal cortex development. And at this point is making a choice to engage in the way he is. Very different than, and not that I'm not excusing it. Don't misunderstand me, because that man be gaslighting the fuck out of her. Gaslighting the fuck out of her. And started it with the Kata conversation. I already told y'all this, early days in the villa. He really be playing in her face for real, for real. He does. And so I told y'all early days, listen, I be on Melanie's ass, but y'all, gaslighting, future faking, come on, y'all, you gotta lock in. You gotta see what, you know what I'm saying? You gotta see it. You gotta see it, Negging, Darvo, y'all have seen a lot on this island. And I'm just gonna repeat, none of it was from fucking Casey. But gaslighting is quite literally crazy making. Like you literally will start to question your reality, because that's the whole point of it. I will like a person that is gaslighting you when they're like really all in on that shit. You know what I'm saying? Will quite literally throw water in your face, and your face is dripping with water, and they'll be like, "I didn't do that. What are you talking about?" Like that's how scary gaslighting is. They will make you believe that shit is your fault. That's not your fault. That's why we heard Melanie tonight talking about, he's so in his head about it all. I'm worried, right? Like she's concerned about his mental health, and that man is over there like, everything went great. It's a great conversation. It's all worked out. Whole time could barely make eye contact with her, was completely disassociated during the majority of that conversation. Carl, Zach, these men talking about he paid his dues. Zach, ooh, motherfucker. If I was sincere, I wouldn't even know if I want to keep dealing with that. Dealing with the consequences of your motherfucking actions. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know? No, Aaliyah, it was Bryce. You don't know if you want to deal with the consequences of your behavior? It was not. Go back and watch it. Their voices are very distinctly different. Coco, dare you say? Y'all want me to pull it up? Because I'm almost certain it was Bryce's voice. I'm talking about in the bedroom when they were getting dressed or whatever. Yeah, Carl also did say, when is it enough? He suffered enough. I'm pretty sure it was December. I'm pretty sure it was his voice, but I'm going to go pull it up. Maybe I'm wrong. Nikki, I don't think so. I see your comment in the group chat. I don't think so. I'm about to pull it up, y'all. Larger curves, I'm about to pull it up. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was not that man. Oh, nope. Hold on. Sorry, I can't read y'all comments and do this at the same time. Give me a second. But y'all keep comments and go ahead.
During our family dinners, we would do a game where we impersonate every single person. And you have to guess who we're impersonating. You want to do that right now? That's what I thought.
They ain't saying nothing.
What was that? Kaden? Yeah. Dude, what the fuck? Yeah, dude, what the fuck?
Okay, shut up. Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, it's this scene.
Pointed in like the way.
Okay, hold on.
Like out of here, like you got some shit like that with Mel. Yeah, I want Melody to meet my mom, but I'm still disappointed in like the way that everything like shook out. I gotta not only keep building with Melody, but I gotta rebuild with the family too at this point.
You can't even rebuild.
I'm gonna do some fake highlights. Okay? That's how I pressed it.
Child, y'all ain't even got soil to build on.
For a family dinner for me, it's like we all go to my one auntie's house, we all bring our signature dish. Big Greek family, loud food.
During our family dinners, we would do.
Okay. Oh my God, ew. I know y'all are probably talking. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, I'm laughing so much today.
Okay. Pretty sure this is it. Hold on.
Your mom or sister. Oh, seriously? Genuinely. My mom's gonna love that.
Can we get a counter in the Billa for every time they say genuine, genuinely, any variation of it? Because, oh my God, is there another word that we can say this season? Hi, Sierra. I'm so tired of hearing that word genuinely.
I just feel bad for Sincere. Like, he's just been trying to dig out of this hole for so long. If I were Sincere, I'd be like, bro, do I really want to keep putting up with this shit for the next...
It is Dylan. Y'all are right. It was Dylan on this episode. Oh, yeah, that was Carl that said seriously, yeah?
For so long. If I were Sincere, I'd be like, bro, do I really want to keep putting up with this shit for the next... I mean, it's only going to...
It's only Dylan and Carl in the room at this point.
I just feel bad for Sincere. Like, he's just been trying to dig out of this hole for so long. If I were Sincere, I'd be like, bro, do I really want to keep putting up with this shit for the next... I mean, it's only going to get worse when you get outside. How much more does he have to keep suffering?
The fact that that man is a victim in their eyes is actually insane to me. Yeah, it was the previous episode for Carl. I mean, the previous episode for Carl. I mean, we can't see their voices. We can't see their mouths really good, but I'm pretty sure that, what's that boy's name? Dylan is the one that was saying the majority of that. Okay, Sierra. The Jayla experience, we were looking to see who said that statement. Maybe you're sincerely asking that question. Genuinely. Maybe you're genuinely. It was Carl that said that. I mean, oh my God. I'm sorry. They're side characters. It was Dylan. It was Dylan that said that. I'm sorry, y'all. They all the same fucking person. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to, give them their ones at least. I'm sorry, y'all. You're not wrong, dark skin. It was Carl that, oh my God, I didn't say that's his name. It was Dylan that basically said Sincere is a victim. And that he is, he would be wondering whether or not he wanted to keep dealing with all that, because he's suffering of having to keep, digging himself out. It was Dylan that said all that. Softly Sunny, cut it out. That's funny. Suffering is actually yes. I didn't vote for anyone, Yuli. Jopo, who said that? Sincere is literally suffering the consequences of his own fucking actions. You did these things, and now you are having to live with and suffer through the consequences of your own actions. Yeah, let me give y'all actually a time frame. Let's go ahead and let's do 2 minutes to 75K. Exactly, positive brainwashing. It's like you're clear that that's misogyny, yeah? Why are we not having those conversations? But anyway. Oh, princess, you know what? It wasn't necessary. Okay, I know what y'all mean when y'all say that. It's not an even number, but it's going to bring me to a 5, which is what I like. 5s and 0s. I like it to be even in that way. Absolutely, Sarah. I'd say most of the girls too. I think that, like, I've said this a lot this season, but I truly believe that most people operate in misogynistic ideals until they learn to not. Which girl is a pick-me on the island? That answers the question y'all just asked me. And not even just your environment, right? Like, that's not like, you literally go out into the world. The world props up all the concepts of patriarchy and misogyny as like just normal behaviors. I mean, I hear you. And Aaliyah, one of them did say over, you didn't pick me. I picked you. You didn't pick me. And then another one told us, I'm tired of hearing y'all say to me, at least he picked me. I feel like that might be indicative that there's some pick me stuff going on in the villa. I don't know, y'all. You can take a tap break. Thank you for hitting the goal. So like, they're having conversations where being picked actually is supposed to be enough. We heard that directly out of one of their mouths, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's some pick me behavior in there, right? Feeling like being chosen by a man, even after watching him play in your fucking face. I do not, Giselle. I don't think black people should go on the show at all, but you know, whatever. Correct, Majestic Babe. I have a whole video about that shit. The social contract that they all subconsciously signed this season. And to be perfectly frank, I've been arguing this since last season when I actually chose to truly lock in and like watch the show. Everybody has to be a pick me to go on Love Island. That's the premise of the show. Like the whole point of the show is to be picked so you can stay in the villa. Like, you have to be some level of a pick me. So I don't like, that's not a dig. It's just, I think, a fact. Fair, Aaliyah. I mean, literally, they had a freaking makeout ORGY the first episode. Like, we know what we're signing up for to some extent. You know what I'm saying? Cause listen, Beatrice said I compete for medals, not men, and I was like, oh, she signed so deliberate and out of here. And I like Beatrice, but I knew she wasn't gonna be able to hang for too long in the villa if that was her mindset. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at it, but I knew she wasn't gonna be able to hang because the girls was not gonna move like that. The girls wasn't gonna move like that. She was gonna be on her own. Now, if all the girls had moved like that and made them men work, truly work, and not just been like, I got my man back, aha, as though the man was the prize. If they had moved, then we would have had a different tone of the villa, but they didn't. You know what I'm saying? All of them were much younger than Beatrice. Going back to my point about those developed prefrontal cortexes, right? You're going to tolerate some shit at 22 that you probably didn't, you're not going to tolerate at 25. Anybody in here that's 25 and up, you probably let some stupid shit slide 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 that you would not now that you're grown, right? You also probably didn't even clock some shit that now when you look back, you're like, damn, the fuck? Because you couldn't see it before, right? It just takes like years and more experiences and more people that you're exposed to, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? Kenzie and Dylan, I got his name that time, y'all. Kenzie and Dylan and Casey and TT went home. So yeah, you know, and the whole rhetoric of like girls mature faster than boys, y'all, that's also misogyny. I'm sorry to have to break it to you, because biologically that's not accurate. It's only sociologically accurate, and that's simply because we make girls. By we, I mean the whole culture, not you individually, right? We make girls be more mature, have more responsibility, right? My sister said something, I've said this to y'all before, but it's like why women will become mothers when they have children, but men don't always become fathers, because we put a different expectation on women pretty much from the beginning of their lives around how they're supposed to show up and be responsible. Add on to that any sort of, you know, marginalized identity, and it's even the more so, right? Add on to that any sort of like patriarchal centered religion, patriarchal centered homes, even if not as a result of religion, like all of that is it just adds to this idea that girls are supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm saying? Which is why, you know, I'm gonna leave them alone. But yeah, so all that to say, it's woven all up and through that villa. Now he don't like Sincere and Mel. Hey, we are all entitled to our opinions. You feel me? You miss Soul. I don't feel like, ooh, seventh letter. You know what? Don't start. It's my my massage ball. Y'all, I be having to help my little lymph nodes get moving. Okay, side quest. When I was 17 years old, I shattered my left ankle, so I don't have a left ankle there anymore. I only have a metal rod and 2 metal pins there, like holding my little foot over there together. And so I get a lot of like pain in that foot and in that ankle. So I have to like help activate my lymph nodes to release the pressure from the fluid sitting on it. Even still now, all these years later. I actually do not think, period note, Lana, my little robot twin. I don't think that Soul is a colorist. I don't think that Soul said anything that should make us think that she's a colorist. If like, I don't have any evidence to suggest she's a colorist. Please, seventh letter. But you know what, Aaliyah? I feel like that's not fair. I feel like that's not fair. And I think that that is a result of a reactionary fan base of Brinity more than it's about her actual comments. Do I think she is ignorant about some things? Absolutely. But she's also young. And I don't know how she was cultured and raised. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea. I have no idea. But I don't think that what we've seen amounts to her being a colorist. I think some people just, they use words and they don't understand the meanings of them. That's why they were calling, who were they calling an incel? Was it they were calling one of the men an incel on the island. That is like, it might have been Zach. I don't know. It was Casey. And it's like, I think you all don't know what being an incel means. Like it quite literally means that you are a virgin, not by choice, right? You are. Words actually have meanings and you can't just use them however the fuck you want. That's not how it works, babe. That's not how it works. You cannot reimagine how words work. Yeah, the level of exactly, Note Lana. I think that we definitely saw some of that this season. I know it's unfortunate, which is part of the reason, y'all, that I'm glad they're gone. Like, obviously disappointing. You want to be able to see the people that you know, like, go all the way. But honestly, like, they went far enough. They're now in a couple. But that wasn't what he was resentful about, Aaliyah. That was people's projection. And to be perfectly frank, he mentioned it as many times as Carl did. And in Casey's situation, of those times, one of them was elicited. He didn't offer it. It was elicited. Does that ever play through your head that the situationship argument with Kata and Trinity? I think that just goes to Secrets Unkept. I don't know what you're asking me. I think that just goes to the fact that they were raised differently, honestly, because there's actually a creator on here that I already like reposted, but sorry, I'm trying to read y'all's comments and respond. Let me focus. I'm sorry. I reposted her video, but basically she was talking about how like situationship is AABE. That language originated, and I've talked about this a little bit on this platform before. That language originated in Black community because of the way that we do dating in Black community. Most Black girls and Black boys are not allowed to openly date when they are young. You got a little friend, but that's not your girlfriend or your boyfriend, right? You got your little friend, right? And so it becomes a situationship. And so you don't get to divorce it from its meaning simply because you weren't cultured as a Black woman. No shade. No shade. And it wasn't actually Mecca. It was a dark-skinned Black woman. I mean, maybe Mecca made a video about it. But like, I think that Kata's perceiving it as though Trinity is saying like hookup culture, right? Like, oh, y'all are just like hooking up, which. And Trinity told her, like, where I'm from, that's what it's called. But really what she means is in Black community, that's what it's called, babe, because that's kind of what it is. Basically, Zach said to her, can we be monogamous without any commitment to one another, right? Which, to be fair, is what they've been doing all fucking summer anyway. Not that different. But the fact that we put a fake title on it is just it's odd. Like, why do anything other than what you're already doing? Why give it a term? You're already doing that. You're already doing that. What it is that, you know, when we get out of the villa, but she don't know this because she's 22, right? I'm not being mean. I'm just saying she's not clocking certain shit that he's doing because she's too young. You know what I'm saying? She don't know. She's believing what he's saying. No shade. Correct, Majestic Babe, right? But like, I'll give you an example of how I know that, right? How I know that she doesn't pick up on the shit that he does and she falls for some of the shit that he says. Go back to the episode where he said, I basically told the bombshells we were closed off. He fought for his life all fucking night. I'm sorry. It's not funny. He fought for his life all fucking night because he was like, what the fuck did I just say? And then he got up the next morning and tried to walk it back. And when she pushed back on it, he word saladed her to the point where she was like, oh, I get it. I was like, babe, he didn't say shit. He didn't say shit, actually. He didn't say a motherfucking thing, baby. He is walking it back because he does want to continue to explore. But he said enough words and a little salad for her where she was like, oh, okay, I get it. And so that lets me know, right? She's not always picking up on what Bryce is putting down. And him saying, I want to be exclusive, which is no different than what they've been doing in the villa, is really about when we get outside. I know when he was in Casa, I know those guys are probably all over her. They're probably chatting shit about me right now. She's a 10 out of 10. I'm obsessed with her. I'm always tracking her with my eyes. That's about you making sure that nobody else is. And when they get out that villa, see, Washington, I do. When they get out that villa, he knows that she gonna be pursued. She's going to be pursued. And so he wants to make sure that you don't come up off of me, but I'm also not necessarily willing to take the next step of true commitment. But she doesn't see that. I did talk about Casey saying that TT is worthy of being his girlfriend. I have a whole video about it. I did see a video from some girl that said it. She never directly said it was Casey, but she was liking comments that it was Casey. I'm not trying to be rude to people. You know, I don't know that woman, but I always think it's weird when exes come out. Like what do you like, unless you're going to, for me, I feel like if you're not going to boldface say some shit, give me receipts and be blatant as fuck, I feel like I don't know about your motives, babe. All this, guess who, and I'm gonna, vaguely post this thing. No, baby, if you really thought he was a danger, get on the screen with your motherfucking camera on and be like, so my ex such and such is actually dangerous and should not be on this show because of blah, blah, blah. Say it with your motherfucking chest. Otherwise, I feel like you might just be being a little weird, to be honest. That said, I'm not excusing it, okay? But I also know how I used to act when I was 21, okay? And how I acted at 21 was different than how I acted at 23. I'm sorry. And I think that he told us actually on the show that his last girlfriend was like, maybe I'm misremembering this. Did he say his last relationship was like 3 years ago? Am I remembering that correctly? But that he had Smex on his birthday. Like, yeah, so his last relationship was 3 years ago. So if she, no, not Zach Curlin, KC. But Nicola, KC and Anaya had a conversation about this too. When they were talking about relationships, how long they had been, I don't remember how long ago he said it was. Go figure, I can't remember shit from like episode 2. Yeah, I don't remember either. Toya, you got them quick. Maybe at some point I'll go look. But yeah, so I don't know, guys. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was a long time ago. So he was relatively young. Okay. I'm going to let people come up on the panel. So feel free to request, my loves. Do I think that Kenzie being compared to Sincere was unfair? No. No. When I think back on what she did, it wasn't that different. She was doing things. Here's what I will say. There was a smidge of difference in that she would openly volunteer information. Sincere never did that, for real. You would have to directly ask him. But the moving weird and, she definitely was lying to Caleb though. Corbin knew, but she was definitely lying to Caleb. But she would like openly disclose, like, we did kiss or whatever. Like she would give that information openly in some situations. So I'll give that was a little bit different. But other than that, she really wasn't moving that differently. Care Bear, my theory is that Kenzie was carrying the wound all season of not being the preference the first night. The fact that her partner went on that red dot the second night and wanted to couple up with someone else. And so she spent the rest of her season trying to prove that she was desired, both to herself and everybody else. That's what I think. That was her core wounding of the season. I don't know if she acts like that outside the villa, but I think that was definitely influencing how she acted in the villa. Yeah. Yeah, I think we especially saw it with Corbin. Great point, Note Lana, right? Because Corbin was an actual competition. It was her or Melanie. And she needed to win. She needed to be able to beat Melanie so she could prove that she was the desired person. It wasn't even about really wanting Corbin that much. She might have argued that it was. I think it was, she needed to be picked, She needed to prove to herself that she is desirable. I saw your question, Aaliyah. I don't think you're going to like my answer. I think in its raw form, you know what, the Maybe Diaries? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I would, unfortunately, I've also treated Kenzie like a side character a lot of the season. I'm sorry to say it. Truly, I am. And so I don't know that I paid enough attention to other moments with her to know if that was something deeper than just like the villa experience. No, you're okay, Aaliyah. Raw data, just on the surface, I think it's icky. And I think it's like weird, and it makes me question, like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, that's my reaction to it, right? When I hear, like, what the fuck does that mean? But I don't think that I have like a whole lot to really tell me what it means. I can make some supposings based on things that I think are KC's core wound from his villa experience. And what we've heard from Casa people, right? And what we saw and what we heard from KC. My supposing is that what he was talking about was the energy of being desired. He had not experienced that yet until Casa. And Sydney told us on After Sun, everybody in that motherfucker wanted KC. Like he was the hot commodity. Production sent girls in for him. And that was his core wounding from the first night. He was rejected not by Anaya, he was rejected by everybody, right? And I think that that was like a wounding for him, which I think is honestly reasonable. And whether people realize it or not, I think Anaya had the same wounding. Because remember, Anaya also was not picked on night one. She also experienced rejection on night one. Which is part of, I think, what activated the anxiousness around, would you pick me if you had to pick me, would you really pick me? Or are you just here because you got stuck with me? We just watched it manifest differently. We didn't watch KC be anxious about it. We watched him spend a lot of time soothing Anaya's emotional experience because not Anaya's fault. Them motherfuckers in the villa, Bryce and Zach, kept reactivating her wound. And I don't think that she was cognizant that that was happening. Most of us are not when we get triggered. Right? Like I'm a 40-year-old therapist. Well, Sarah, the data actually backs it up that it was Zach and Bryce. I'll get to that in a second. I'm a 40-year-old therapist, and I told y'all that when I watched that scene when Casey said, what's her name? TT is worthy of being my girlfriend. Immediately I was fucking triggered, and I had a whole emotional reaction about it. And then I had to take a step back and look at the data and realize that while I don't like the verbiage, it may not be what I'm feeling, may not actually be fact. Just because I feel it doesn't mean it's the fact, right? And so I'm practicing that even still now as someone that's trained to do that. Like you know what I'm saying? So I don't fault her for not being cognizant of it, but she was being triggered over and over and over and over and over again in that villa. So Sarah, to just just to like tell you for real. So I actually went back and watched all the episodes, and I was able to see, well, I'm going to answer that too. I went back and watched all the episodes, and actually it is Zach and Bryce that would say things and then walk it back. And they typically walked it back to what KC had already told Anaya. But that by that point, her nervous system was already activated, and she took it as confirmation of the fear that she was already holding, rather than being able to take in, oh, okay, actually they're saying the same thing that he said, but they were throwing out statements. But to further it, right, there is actually a therapist that went and hand transcribed episodes 1 through 24, facial expressions, every single comment, every single conversation, and then did a meta-analysis on all of that. And 75 to 80% of what went wrong with Anaya is attached to Bryce and Zach. That's what the data actually shows. I will post her to my story right when we get off, you guys. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she is reposted. Matter of fact, I have a video talking about her. And her screen, the picture is her page. She's on Threads too. Yeah, I found her originally on here. Is it Brianna, Danny? I can't remember. But she's like a marriage and family therapist, like a relationship and dating coach. And she, according to her, had an ADHD hyperfixation that made her just like all this polarizing rhetoric. What does the data actually say? And thank you, it's Bree Jenkins. Thank you. That is absolutely right, KJ. Bree Jenkins. And so when she did the meta-analysis, she was actually able to disprove a lot of the polarizing rhetoric about KC and Anaya, some of it. Only because the rhetoric hasn't been as polarizing about Anaya, y'all. The claim mostly about Anaya was that she was insecure and taking up too much emotional space. KC's been called a sexual predator, a rapist, a sociopath. Thank you, Lucy. It's at the Gathered Life. Like, being called insecure is not, that's not going to make you lose your job. Saying that someone is a sexual predator, that's a CNA, might. It might, actually. So the language was much more inflammatory and lifelong jeopardizing, honestly, against KC than Anaya. Everybody in the fucking world has insecurities. That's like, the fact that people use that as like an insult is like dumb as hell, in my opinion. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but like, everybody has insecurities. You have something that it doesn't make you an insecure person, but we all have insecurities. That's not an insult for real. That's just you being a human. But people definitely tried to use it as an insult against her. And to be clear, I don't think Anaya is an insecure girl. I think she had insecurities that were constantly reactivated and re-triggered by the people on that island. And I've said this already to subscribers. I stopped talking about KC and Anaya really in the public outside of lives, but I felt like the discourse online was not considering the fact that they were both having a traumatizing experience that they were being triggered over and over and over about, and how they were just contributing to what they were going to come out to see. I didn't feel like people were actually considering that. And you know what? It's because they were triggered watching the show. So, whatever. Hi, Jermira. Okay. Yeah, I would never want to see my son on this show. Oh, no, I don't want to do this. I don't like this one. Hold on. Let's do fluid grip. Okay. Hi, Nikki.
Hey, hi, girl.
Hi, my love.
I can't
Honestly,
wait to
I wouldn't
hear.
want to see my son or my daughter on this show.
Oh, girl, never.
And I don't think my daughters would last, because I think they would be running game and not tolerating none of that shit. Nope.
And that's what I want to see on my television screen.
But they wouldn't last. They would not last.
But
My
if
daughter
all the
was-
girls were like that,
I mean,
my
if they were.
goodness, it was so. I was so excited with Kata. We thought you was going
I
to be a
know.
man eater, and I wanted to see it so bad. But them
I know.
them nonverbal social contracts just slid right on in.
Sure did.
People want to be accepted so badly and don't want to, stand alone. And unfortunately, they're young enough for that to happen.
Ooh, can I just add to that real quick? Because so this goes back to the youth thing, right? I'm sorry. I know y'all probably feel like I'm beating a redacted horse, but it's important when we're talking about the show to see how all of these themes intertwine, right? So Nikki is saying, right, they're young enough where they're going to be more susceptible to groupthink. And to be perfectly frank, that quite literally is like the stage of development that a lot of them are in. They're very, very shortly removed from what we talk about in graduate school, about when you're in the stage of life where you feel like you're on a stage. You feel like everybody is noticing everything about you, and that's the worst possible thing. You actually do not want to be perceived. They are very shortly outside of that stage. Very shortly outside. And so, yeah, because they are very young, they are going to be more susceptible to being influenced by what is the group norm. And because honestly, I don't know that I think Anaya would have shown up the way that she showed up if Melanie was not her girl in the villa. Because there were times that Anaya's opinions about what she wanted from KC were very different than what Melanie would project, what Trinity would project, right? But we saw her slowly shift into that, because I think, you hear it so much externally, you start to embrace it as yours. Go ahead, Nikki.
Oh, no, I was also going to say, it was my my little darlings. I sent the live. I don't know if any of them were able to join. So shout me out if y'all in here. But they were the ones that actually brought up the issue to me about Anaya and Melanie's relationship, which I thought was very, very telling. And when I started seeing it through that lens, I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, by the way, y'all, I didn't watch the episode. I didn't watch
You
the
ain't missed
episode.
nothing.
I know. So I mean, eventually I will, because I'm just that curious enough, and I believe in finishing what I start. I did not grow up in the era of participation trophies. If I'm going to start something, I am going to finish it, whether I win or lose. See how that works? I'm going to leave it on the field, if you will. Y'all get off the internet and go pick a sport, any sport. I just beg of you. I know there's a lot of things that are wrong with sports, but the one thing that it will teach you is how to win and to lose graciously and non-emotionally, right? No pizza party. Let me in. Don't start with me tonight. Don't start with me. There's no pizza party for you. That's cute. That's funny. I think I don't have much to say on the episode, but I just want to say about the voting and how we were bamboozled into, like, this was a whole setup. And so I knew coming in that, I'm glad Gigi, came in and said, we gonna skip to the end. Yes, we're gonna just skip to the end, just rip the Band-Aid off, and then that way I don't have to. I'm not trying to have any anxiety. I've learned a lot of people have not learned from what we experienced in season 7, y'all. And I am not about to go down that route. I refuse. I got too much going on in my life, too much I want to do, too much I want to heal to be caught up in somebody's internet arguing about people I do not know. One thing I will say, because I can and it's my time, Olandria's second fan base is going to be even more activated. So thank you for making her even more famous. I appreciate that preemptively. And I don't like it for her, but I will be there to support who I support. And there is definitely a clear difference in why we support certain people. And I have been I think, Tina, was it us just talking, or I might have been just listening to a podcast, but I think it might have been us. And like, we need to accept, things, the age of Aquarius that we are in right now. I accept things as blessings when people are revealed, when people are shown. I want that. Please keep exposing yourself so I can get rid of you. A lot of y'all need to do some house cleaning, spring cleaning. Clean up the things that are holding you back, keeping you in an emotional state that you're deflecting from in your own life. There's a lot of inner work, shadow work that people need to do. And guess what? I was doing that at 23. That I started that journey then. Because something at 21, 22 happened to me that was life-changing, and I said never again. I am one of those people, you don't have to, karma, life, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, it does not have to hit me over the head 2-3 times before I realize it. You ain't got to tell me but one time. And guess what? I've watched enough people in my life make mistakes that I learned the lesson while they're going through it. I don't need to experience everything to give empathy or to understand a situation. So, yeah, I just think that this was exactly what we expected. This was by design. This was yet again showing that the literacy rates continue to decline. And I just hope that we are very much more conscious about the language and the labels we put on people, because they have real world consequences. And I promise this is the only thing I want out of this world. Everything you put out, you get back tenfold. I want that for everyone, including myself.
My mama used to say, every seed you sown, you gonna have to motherfucking reap. So you be careful of them goddamn seeds y'all planting. On God, Solar Goon, on God. I want to address a question in the comments when I was talking about Anaya and being susceptible to the group dynamic. Somebody said, so is she a follower and doesn't think for herself? I would not say that. I would say that it's no different than, like, there are very few people in the world that if they go into a space and everybody says, you know, we're supposed to step left, that they're going to step right. There are very few people in the world that do that. You're kind of seeing it play out this season, right? With people that said, oh, I'm going to align with maybe the loudest voice, regardless of whether or not it actually makes sense. I'm going to align with the loudest voice because this is what we're literally watching groupthink in real time this season in a way that I did not at least experience last season personally. Very few people are going to be like, yeah, I actually, like, you can think whatever you want to think, but I'm going to stand on what I think is true, what I think is real. There are very few people that are equipped to do that. And that doesn't mean that those people are followers because they're aligning. It literally, honestly, is like a survival tactic. Like, what would it have been like for Anaya to decide, I'm just going to reject everything that everybody in the villa is willing to go along with and to engage in? Anaya would have experienced the same treatment that KC experienced, because as soon as he rejected the unspoken social contract of the villa, we saw how he got treated for multiple days in a row, right? Honestly, up until the very fucking end, with the one-sided beef that Kata still had toward him, right? Like, why wasn't it KC and TT? Why wasn't it KC and TT? And they make the least sense out of the newly coupled people to have been in the bottom. Like, they make the least amount of sense. But because she had that one-sided beef with him, right? It is dangerous sometimes in group dynamics to choose to go against the group. Now, I'm not trying to say, you know, they was going to knock her out or nothing. I'm not saying it was going to beat her ass, you know, but it can be socially dangerous. And because of how girls navigate, well, perfect example, Soul, the entire representation of Soul, Nikkei, get out my head. The entire representation of Soul, just who she was as a bombshell, violated the social agreement. The only reason why Jen didn't get that smoke is because Beatrice was already at home. Beatrice was out of there. So we can't whack you too much, but they held that shit, right? And sent that motherfucking gay packet. Because you still violated the contract, because why'd you move on so fast, right? So Soul was, the way that she was isolated, not because she did something, but because of what she represented. She represented a threat to the unspoken, agreed upon social norms in that villa, and they needed to eliminate the threat. Audience is absolutely participating in the groupthink X. I say all the time, we are watching a social experiment play out. You know, we're watching a case study play out in real time on our TV. And you're also a part of the experience as the people watching it. You also are a part of that experience. You also are a part of the experiment, right? Which is why I made a video early days. Okay, and then I'm gonna shut up. I made a video early days in the of the Villa experience. Oh yes, Lola. I didn't know if you actually wanted to come up. I made a video early days where I said part of what's happening right now with the Villa is a normalizing of age gap relationships. We know this because we just had a whole show that got renewed for a second season called The Age of Attraction, which is all about age gap relationships. And then you got this season, a 22-year-old with a 30-year-old, a 23-year-old with a 29-year-old, a 22-year-old with a 26-year-old. And they're babes, right? It did get renewed, Majestic Fave. And they're babes, right? I need y'all to clock in. So what did the Kennedy say? I don't know if y'all know for real, but what did Kennedy say about how girls are hitting puberty? And he quoted it incorrectly 6 years earlier. And, we're realizing that it's, 60-year-old men that have actually the sperm counts.
Wait a minute, who is this?
The dumbass Kennedy, not one of the ones that got sense. The RFK.
Yeah.
Everything he says is stupid.
Oh, you mean RFK?
Yes, RFK.
Okay. I thought you were still on Age of Attraction. I want a minute.
No.
But
I want them to tie all the pieces together.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Complaining, BK, that's a great point. Complaining about low teen pregnancy rates, right? Reminder that teen pregnancy, typically only the girl is a teenager. I'm going to say it again. Teen pregnancy, typically, statistically, most often, only the girl is a teenager. Damn, seventh letter. Somebody here don't even like what? Y'all tripping?
Y'all got RFK fans in here?
Wait a minute.
She didn't even say nothing.
Restriction?
But
okay.
Don't worry about it. But I need you to clock. So we're having a kiki summer. We're having a kiki summer, right? Very, very fun. And I think it's fun too, right? But we also have to think about the larger scheme of things. What has been being talked about politically? What are we also seeing play out in the Villa? A normalization of, and Trinity has brought that age gap up how many times? And has made it cutesy.
So many times.
I've realized that actually it's a strength.
The parents brought it up. The parents brought it up yesterday. Like it was some good thing.
Cammie, no shade, Alti. This is not my opinion. This is, if you know how to do research, if you know how to do data collection, this is the collection of all the data that we've been watching for the last year and a half, 2 years play out.
Now, Cammie, I just want to say, I don't want you to get muted. I want us to welcome differences of opinion, but you got to have facts behind your opinion, babe.
Yeah.
And you didn't even spell opinion right, sugar. Like maybe the literacy rate is what we talked about earlier. Get off the internet, pick up a book.
Even if you want to go watch that other show.
Like, my goodness, sugar. Okay? Like stop. Like, I don't like to hear young people sound dumb, but you do.
And we're shedding light on things that you think are small things that are actually, they're trying to normalize it because you put it to the side as a small thing. Y'all this ain't no big deal. Y'all way into some real fucked up shit. Well, we already are in a predicament now with look who running this damn country.
Correct. Oh yeah, they watched it enough for them to renew the second season, babe. Yikes.
So let y'all know. Like, they're trying to get rid of the term PDF file and just call themselves age attraction. They come up with some new bullshit ass names because we know that PDF file has a connotation with it that is serious and should be taken seriously, and they are trying to remove it.
And you know what else too? This whole censorship on language, not being able to use words that are like the actual words, biological terms are being eliminated for what we can say in social media platforms now. Y'all have got to get it together. Like I said last night, y'all, this generation does not have the luxury the way to fuck up the way that we did.
Yeah.
But
And guess
they're
y'all have to
undoing the
say
work. They're undoing the
you are
work that was
literally
done to
undoing the
protect
work.
them.
Exactly. So these bills, not only in Tennessee, that have showed up in Arkansas, and where what's that lady's name? She's not a governor child. She was the former White House press
Oh,
secretary. I
Marjorie
can't
Taylor
remember.
Green.
No.
That's not
I'm
here.
talking about Sarah Huckabee.
Mm.
Whatever her married name is, I can't remember right now. They got bills there, and as well as other red states, waiting for it to, this 2028 to really kick it in high gear, because they're banking on y'all not showing up as y'all normally don't. Y'all have big talk, all bark, no bites. Y'all need to start biting. Yes, Sarah could be saying there's that be. Ooh, I can't stand her. But they got bills like that want to have 14-year-olds be able to get married without their parents' permission. And
Yep.
these old men, they are waiting. They are chomping at the bit to get their hands on children, your sisters.
That is so true. Here in California, we had that SB 107 or something like that, where they tried to make it a decade difference. So if you were 34 and the person was 24, that was going to be okay. Just like if you were 24 and the kid was 14, and it was a pedophile that wrote the law and tried to get it passed, you guys. They're the ones writing these laws. It's disgusting.
Exactly. And while we're up here arguing about a show, about people we don't know, giving them labels like red pill, because y'all don't know the meaning behind what that is very, very concerning. And guess what? I'll be old enough. Thank you, Mayor. I'll be old enough to where I'm just going to either get out of this country and watch it all burn, or be in this country and be okay. I'm not going to be able to we're not going to be here long enough to clean up the mess long term that you are laying. So clock the fuck in, get it together.
Get your passport if you haven't.
So I will say, so all that to say, y'all, this is why I'm always going to be hypercritical, and why I keep drawing attention to the age gap dynamics in the villa, right? Because we're having a good time. We're having a fun summer. You know what I'm saying? We're having a funsy summer. Well, some of it was fun. The audience was not always fun, but we're having a funsy summer. But we also need to think about, who are we rooting for? Who are we championing? And what is that signaling? What is that signaling? Because it's not just the island. You need to understand. I'm not trying to be, well, I am who I am. Nothing is ever divorced from, everything about our existence is political. Okay. Mm-hmm. We are not, just because they're on the island doesn't mean it's not related to the real world. It's still the real world, babe. And so if you are saying, oh, that's totally fine, it's normal because she said that he helps her to see things differently. He's helping her to think differently. He's helping her to, anyway, right? Like, I actually now see it as a strength to be with this man that's 8 years older than me when my brain is not fully developed. I need you to hear what's being said to you. I need you to hear what's being said to you, so that you are aware when these bills are coming out, what is happening, right? You got to be paying attention, my loves.
Why do you think they're pushing all this trad wife culture and these trad wife shows? Do you think that they just so happened to decide that Secret Life of Mormon Wives was a good idea? Do you think there's a reason why they're pushing Secret Life of Mormon Wives in California? All these housewife shows that the women end up being the money makers, but they try to act like the husbands are the money makers, or the people who claim to be trad wives, but then you find out that their husbands make no money and they're retiring their husbands. Meanwhile, they're working and having a full-time job.
And no shade time, they want to call themselves boss bitches, and y'all, and ain't none of y'all won.
And no shade, but the fact that you're on the internet making a TikTok video means you're not a trad wife. Get off the internet. Go make butter.
Yeah,
exactly.
Go milk a cow.
And that's why there's
go sew your clothes. Exactly.
That's what you're supposed to be doing.
And that's actually really excited to. I'm excited to read that book, Yesteryear. That's basically about a trad wife who gets dumped into a yesteryear and has to make a life for herself then. And it's being turned into a movie or a show. I forgot which one.
What is this book?
It's a book called Yesteryear.
Okay.
That's actually really scary, Denise Hopkins. Not only so after Sun host, first of all, y'all better fucking keep it cute tomorrow when KC is there. You better have a lot of motherfucking act right. I know that. Let me go preemptively to your page and tell you to have some act right. But the fact that they were like, we're hoping for a Love Island wedding with Trinity and Bryce, and now you're telling me people on the internet are asking for them to have a baby. Why would you want a 22-year-old
They did that
to
shit
grow?
with Nick and Alandria, though. And
But Nick and Alandria, at least she was 28. She was grown as fuck.
27. Yeah, 24, 25 and 27. Or 20, 24, 20. I don't know. They turned
24 and
like
27 initially.
Yeah.
But then she had a birthday. So she was grown as fuck. Why would you want a 22-year-old
with an unemployed 30-year-old?
What? That man does not even have a 401k. And I'm not trying to be an asshole, but like truly, I
don't even think he has his own place.
Do y'all understand how he has a roommate? He doesn't.
Like,
he told us.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't even have his own place.
Do you understand how much it costs to have children? It is an expensive endeavor.
And it gets more and more expensive.
And keeping a buck, that's if your kids come out healthy. No diagnoses, no disabilities, and you cannot guarantee that.
Yep. And if I'm being honest,
that has a disabled child, you cannot guarantee that, and that takes even more money and more time. Why would you be asking for a 22-year-old to do that? Please wake up. Please wake up.
Just be saying stuff and they think it holds no weight, and they gotta wake it up. Shit is a big deal sometimes, y'all. Some shit we can blow past, but not everything.
Ooh, Francesca, that's a good point. And that's if you have insurance, child.
Hello.
They need to
does
stop
not,
speaking all that shit over her. Child. Okay, I'm going to give y'all all your time. Majestic, babe, please give me your thoughts, my love. Majestic, are you a subscriber? Remind me again.
I am not a subscriber. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, babe.
Hi, I just wanted to first always, thank you so much for having this platform and for being one of the voices of reason throughout watching Love Island. I know I've been watching Love Island for a long time and the discussion is just now getting big and popular, but I feel like I'm losing my mind, and thank you for having the safe space for us to have intelligent conversations. Anyway, yes, I'm very disappointed by by the events of today. I will not be watching the final. I know Miss Nikki was like, I gotta finish it. There's no point. I'm sorry. They've played in our face once again. I used to watch Love Island from 2018 up till 2020. Just the pattern of playing in black women's faces, playing in black men's faces. I was tired of it. Tried again, season 7, season 8. I don't know why we keep coming back to it. I don't know why, but Casey and TT, I really prayed coming out, they really do see all of the love that they have received, all of the support. I hope that overshadows the hate. I really Casey is the only person I've seen who has grown and changed and made, I think some lessons that stuck with him. And I think that'll help him as he, continues on doing whatever he wants to do. I don't even know what I want to say anymore because my brain is just this was it. I was flabbergasting. Sincere being able to basically receive rewards for playing in women's faces over and over and over and over again. I don't know what spell. I don't know what's it. I don't know what people are thinking. I've seen people say that Casey is worse than Sincere, who has lied repeatedly. I don't think the words "I'm sorry, Melanie" has come out of this man's lips once. This man has not apologized. He has not tried to do anything. Like, he gets to sleep in the bed comfortably. I don't know. It's so disappointing. And like, I know my time is up. I'm just sick. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of black men, dark-skinned black men, like, and the fact that it's black women as well. Like, I'm seeing our own people being pitted against each other. Like, we literally see these corporations are using black bodies as entertainment, causing discussion and discourse and discord within the black community, allowing racism to come in on top of that. And we are all playing a part in that, all playing a role in that. It's so disgusting to me. It's so disgusting. The white men, they get to skate by and slide by. Nobody bats an eye. You get to say right after you have just finished intercourse with somebody, the rubber's not even cold, and you're saying, oh, what if there's another woman coming in, and that's fine, and that's the person who gets to have a chance at 100K, but Casey, who's asking for a hug and a kiss, all hell breaks loose. Anaya, I'm sorry. Anaya saying, "Oh, easy access." What kind of conversations is she and Carl having that she can like just, oh yeah, no, it's easy access. But Casey asked for a hug and a kiss, and he's overly freaked out. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking so everybody can have their conversation. But the fact that America got to see Anaya's ass before KC, he just wanted to hug and a kiss, but America saw everything. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. You know what? Yeah, I'll
I
end
also
there.
I also just want to say that I'm preemptively disappointed because I know that even with what Anaya said in her confessional tonight about how they had their lows, but KC brought so much to the villa that, like, you know, he was still someone that she was rooting for. They hugged and you really deserve this. I'm so glad you're in the, they're still gonna whack him in what they think is defense of her. And Spartan, I was pointing because you hit that nail on the head. It's like I don't know if you all have been in spaces where you see on TikTok, there is such a gender war like conversation with like black men and black women. And I feel like this has furthered that in ways that feel really gross and disgusting, if I'm honest. And I don't like it, y'all. I don't like it. And to be clear, Aaliyah, I'm just going to be honest. I haven't seen that rhetoric. I think mostly because of like who my mutuals were and the type of content that I was making this season. So to be fair, I haven't seen a lot of Anaya whacking. That said, it also should not be happening. Like I've said repeatedly, these are two 23-year-olds on an island that is a high pressure environment, really just trying to learn how to navigate this space with all this shit that existed before they ever got on this motherfucker also influencing how they show up. So I think that we can have critiques, we can have observations, we can even kiki, honestly. You know what I'm saying? We can kiki. But we don't have to, it's when it goes too far when we start making claims that are life altering for people. That's when I can't fuck with it no more. If you want to talk about somebody being a bird, you want to talk about somebody being sexist, if you want to talk about somebody being, manipulative, whatever. But when you start making claims that are life altering claims for people, that's when you don't went too motherfucking far, in my opinion. Seventh letter, and actually not in my opinion, that's just a fact. You went too motherfucking far. I'm going to give y'all a new tab goal. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to get to 125K. Seventh letter, go ahead and give me your thoughts, my love.
Hello. So tonight, this episode, a lot of shit I didn't want to see, especially the game. I barely watched that. But for starters, when the episode began and Melanie had this stoic look to herself, she was not present. Even when Sincere was like, you okay? You all right? And kind of have to almost like not shake her, but, you know, get her attention in a way where she wasn't present. That internal struggle that she is fighting unnecessarily is going to continue to wear her down. I don't know what that's about, but because forget what the audience is going to echo when she steps out of that villa, because she's going to get a lot of commentary that's going to be hurtful to her too. But the fact that the girls are finally telling you the truth in the villa, and your loved ones, people you're close to, like your mom and your sister, are telling you that, you should take heed. And you've also lived this experience, and you admittedly said you cried all summer, and then you cried during the family visit, like almost the entire time. And although I don't like Bryce, I feel like what he said was right. Like, you know, like our visits were more like getting to know each other and bonding, and it just felt like you were getting whacked the whole time during yours. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate. The couples, the way that the thing ended out, I just didn't like how it felt. It didn't feel like people were happily celebrating loving each other. It felt like, oh, we made it to the finals, we about to go to the championship. Like it's more competitive than loving amongst the couples. Kata don't know how to be happy for other people when her shit is on the line. She didn't have a smile, a clap, or a warm anything to truly give anybody until her fate was sealed. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that KC and TT went home, because to me, out of all of the existing couples, they have the most genuine connection. I'm not really that big of a fan of any of these couples, but they seem to be building a connection. I ain't got no buzz. I ain't feeling no love. It's just like a tolerable experience. And to comment on how people were talking about Anaya being a follower, I think Anaya is one of those people that really buy into environmental survival. Kind of liken this to when people go to prison, unfortunately. Like they do what they got to do to survive in there and play the game because they want to survive it. Or, you know, in this instance, survival is not getting sent home. And also there's a cash prize at the end. It is what it is. It's a competition dating reality show. But yeah, the couples at the end, I kind of expected it, but that's not what I wanted to see. We already know who's going to fucking win this damn show. It is what it is. I'll be glad that it's over Sunday.
Wrap it up.
They could have wrapped this shit up tonight. They could have wrapped it up yesterday. They could have wrapped it up this past Sunday because nothing changed. Nothing changed. Oh, did you talk about this? Because I got here a little late. Dylan pissed me off with the comment he made. He said, okay, you did. Yeah, no, like Sincere's gonna get tired of that. You know, it's one thing to talk about it, but like he's gonna get tired of it. Sincere brought all of that shit on himself. He's not saying that, you know, maybe it did go too far. Maybe we do need to part ways. Maybe I did too much to come back from, because you asking me to fix it, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Or whatever he's going to bend himself over backwards to fix. It is what it is. But Dylan, you got some nerve because you unnecessarily drug Kenzie through 5 days of making a situation bigger than what it is when you were privy to Kenzie's behavior as a person who came in casa, and your own damn mama told you she didn't do nothing wrong. That's the name of the game in here. So it's just like, you of all people bringing that up, you want that to be over for Sincere, but you drug that situation with Kenzie forever, no matter how much she tried to reassure you.
I'm glad you brought that up. What's sad about that is that there will be still discourse amongst the Black community. And this Dylan person that should be labeled, Zach, that should be labeled with a red pill because they have literally displayed actions that were by punishing, he wanted Kenzie to beg.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he kept bringing it up.
He's trying to mind control her
And
too.
while we're constantly going back and forth on the internet and about just amongst Black people, they're gonna fail up forward. That's how it always
Yeah.
happens, y'all.
And I'm
This
not giving
motherfucker
them
was
a pass.
This
I'm
motherfucker was auditioning the whole fucking time he was there, and I
exactly.
guarantee you, he's gonna get on somebody's soap opera.
What is all my children still on? He gonna be on there. I not to give them a pass, but I've said this before for people who haven't been here. When I'm on panels, I'm in Black spaces. And it's just gonna be what it is. The majority of the Black spaces are going to focus on the Black people on the show. And unfortunately, I don't like how Casey and Anaya both have been picked apart and just unfairly judged throughout this whole season. It's too much for the both of them. Just instead, because you could tell it's a lot of new people because they weren't allowing the story to play out and get to the end where Casey and Anaya made amends. They don't have to be best friends. They can be cool, cordial, professional, or whatever it is. But they don't hate each other. Like, y'all have picked a side and y'all want to stay there and not come to reason. And y'all want them to be angry like you are. And they're not. These are two 23-year-olds who had to realize they are not compatible. It wasn't always pretty from either side, but that's part of the process. They had to realize they are incompatible. That's all it is. It's okay. It's good that they realized that and not forced something crazy.
I will say that I was satisfied with I've kind of said throughout the season that I felt like Anaya and Casey were exactly what the other person needed for the lessons that I thought they needed to learn. And they satisfied me by having that reconciliation conversation because I didn't want either of them to leave this villa with a wound from the other person unnecessarily. So like I feel very satisfied with the way their shit played out, but people on the internet just don't have good sense. Majestic Babe, I wanted to touch your comment about the conversations that Anaya and Carl are having. I'm not gonna lie to you. Ooh, I said it in my group chat. I'm gonna say it here. I'm not gonna say too much. I'm not gonna say too much because I don't have enough data yet. But I noticed that I've been having kind of a gross feeling about like that comment did not feel good to me. And then tonight watching them, what was it? At some point it was, I don't remember when it was, but when they were kissing or they were talking about whatever they were talking about. And he's like, get down or like lay down. And he like tells her to like, yeah, it was insane. Like, I also did not love that. I don't know. So I'm going to go back and watch all of their like intimate moments. I just need to know if what I'm feeling inside is actually backed by any data.
Tina, can I ask you a question? It's about something his mom said.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It's a Black guy. He's on YouTube. He does commentary. He's been watching Love Island for a while. He's not one of these bandwagoners. And he loves Anaya. Like, he said he didn't like the comment that his mom made when she was like saying, "Oh, I can see you having my grandbabies and I want them to be like Olympic volleyball players." And he was like, "I know y'all on this kick of like wanting Anaya to move on from Casey and y'all are loving Carl now." He's like, "But I feel like if a white woman would have said that about a Black man with like an athletic build, like maybe a football player build or something similar to that liking, y'all would have recognized that shit as fetishizing." He said he felt like that was fetishizing. Like, because they both play volleyball and like, oh, these Olympic athletes, breed me some Olympic athlete grandbabies. Because she said that.
Carl said it in his confessional. I can't remember what his mom said, but I do think it's, y'all are, Listen, Majestic Babe, I was just about to say that. Get out of my head. I know that people are not going to love me saying this,
Oh,
but
I didn't like that shit that Grandma said. Why you want
I
to see
felt
them
this.
in the hideaway?
Yeah, I felt the same way about like the pressure about get the boyfriend and girlfriend in the highway, but it also, y'all,
It gave me the ick.
I also did not love and yeah, you know what? It may be that doesn't mean it has to feel good. You know what I'm saying? And I think that there's something to be said for like, especially I'm going to say that. Like, especially Black people in the United States. Black people in the United States, we have to be intuitive about what other people feel about. We have to be in a state of sort of like hypervigilance as to what is happening with other communities. You know what? I just watched a video today that said men have the privilege of not measuring women by the very few cruel women. Women don't have the privilege of not measuring men by the cruel men because one of them is hurt feelings and the other one is actual redaction. So Black people we have a level of, we cannot be I'm just gonna, not everybody's the same when it comes to people that are in oppressive identities in relationship to us. And so I do register when something feels a little coded. And it may be nothing, but I do have a registering that happens in my body. That said, I didn't love I just want to take her home right now. Like, I don't know. It didn't feel good to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Personally. And that's whatever. Yeah, Majestic Babe, it was such a good video. Yeah, like we can't, giving the benefit of the doubt is why we have a Nolan Wells.
Thank you.
Girl.
And I'm sorry to have to be the person to tell it to you, but that's real life for Black people in the United States. And I need you to understand that. I need you to lock in, babe, even when it feels uncomfortable. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because I know that your white friend is a good white friend. I have great friends. But you absolutely need to be aware. I'm so sorry to you. And I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you're dangerous until you prove that you're safe. Same for me with men. You're dangerous until you prove that you're safe.
And us talking about group think, I'm sure there was a quote unquote good friend in that group that maybe didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
And ended up not being a good person because they bought into group think. The same thing that happened on the island, buying into group
And
think.
then they lawyered up and scrubbed their social medias. Not a good friend, even though you thought you were.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or don't let it ruin their lives.
Yeah. I will. And so listen, maybe not about Bryce. Maybe he's going to come out the villa and y'all are going to be so fucking right. But there have been enough moments that have felt weird to me that I'm going to accept the registering in my body. Did not love the fact that they whacked at Anaya in an effort to whack at KC. Did not love that he sent Trinity to do his bidding to whack Anaya again in order to whack at KC. Exactly. Did not love that he framed his conversation with Trinity as an argument. Did not love the fact that man basically said that what he liked about her was that she was sassy, right? Did not love that when TT called her a little girl, he leaned back to his homie and they keyed about it. I didn't love none of that shit. Did not love the fact that he said, I had to give you my fair maiden to make it even. Did not love none of that shit. So actually, I am going to let that register in my body. I am going to let it register in my body that shit felt weird to me. Personally. I don't think he gonna have the cojones or the gall to really be able to do what he needs to do in the real world, dating a dark-skinned Black woman. But we will see. Maybe I am wrong. Dark-skinned lover girl, please give me your thoughts, my love.
Okay, so I wanted to touch on the Carl thing. It's crazy to me, or it's funny to me actually, how Carl had asked Anaya like how she was able to kind of move on, or she's such a good person, whenever Casey asked TT to be his girlfriend, but then was sitting there agreeing with Dylan in the room about how when is enough going to be enough, about Sincere being a victim.
Like that tea.
Yeah. Also, I was watching, I don't know if you guys watched some of the videos on Instagram, and everyone had to basically, like with the whole Nick and Landria thing, give their impressions of their partner and then just people in the villa. And Bryce said, I don't even know how to do Trinity's impression. And every other guy was able to do Trinity's impression, but he, who is her boyfriend, could not do her impression because he doesn't know her. Also, I like Mel a little bit. I feel like out of all of the girls, Mel is tolerable. I think that Mel sometimes is self-aware, and I do think that she had a better relationship with TT, because I did like TT and KC. I was starting to feel something with them. So I do like Mel, and I did vote for them out of spite. I know I used to be a big Brinity? I don't even know how to say it anymore. But I did vote for them out of spite. I do hope that they win, even though I know that the relationship is going to be rocky. I do think that there is something there with them. But it really kind of like made me feel kind of icky when the beginning of the episode, I didn't watch the middle, so that's why I don't really have much to talk about with the middle. But in the beginning of the episode, when Mel was I think she was talking to Anaya, and then Sincere was talking to Bryce, and she was like, he looks so down. She was so worried about what was going on with him. Like, she's like, he's in his head. And the whole time he's talking to Bryce saying like, no, we're good. Like, I had a great conversation. Like, everything's good. And it's like, okay, so you guys are not on the same page, because with him, he's so confident that you're going to move on from this, that everything's good. And you're so worried about him and what he has going on. I don't think that Sincere is going to be able to change outside, because now it's going to be different, especially living separately. And also because the bombshells in the real world are really going to throw some cat. It's going to be some real cat being thrown. And it.
You calling it cat is taking me out. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know what to call it.
No, you're right. You're right.
And his inbox, it doesn't matter all the things that he's doing right now. His inbox is about to go crazy. I am okay now. At first I was mad and I wanted to delete, Peacock. But I am okay now with TT and KC being, I guess I'm going to call it evicted. I am okay with it, because at the end of the day, just from what Carl said, how I just feel like everybody is so able to forgive Sincere. Like, it's as if Sincere is, I don't know, he has a spell on everyone, and everyone seems to think that KC did the worst thing in the world in that villa. And so I just feel like for their mental health and for their sake, I think going home is okay. Like, is a positive thing, especially because now they get to have after sun with Corbin, and how Corbin is, say what you want to say, but Corbin keeps it real. He's very honest.
He don't
And
steal.
yeah, you're gonna spill. And I do think that this gives him time to start building a case. How that, what you just did with your, refuting, he started building a case against those people that are doing too much on his name. And I hope he does take it there. I hope he does take it there. And, I don't really have anything to say with Kenzie, except that Kenzie was mad and she did her split. So that's it.
She said, this is why I wore underwear. So Lola, I dropped you because the chat pointed out that your profile picture is Anaya's wig, and I just can't. I can't do anti-blackness up here. So I'm sure you think it's a kiki, but I'm actually not bucking with it. So if you want to change your PFP and come back, you certainly can. But that, I'm not bucking with that. Nikkei, do you want to go, or you want me to go to Larja?
I'll go for a little bit. It's not going to be long.
Okay.
So I'm so glad the show's almost over. I do think that we all need to refocus and strive for betterment of ourselves personally, intellectually, and like as a collective, if you're Black, the Black collective. Because obviously, unless the system is rigged to take us down, then we're not supposed to win. And that's exactly what's going on now. They put obviously black women and black men against each other for a reason this time, because we were kind of somewhat united in 2024. I know 8 to 13% voted for this guy in office, but we were pretty united, and they're trying to like tear us apart. So let's not let them. And also, can I just say, it's so weird that people were saying that this season was non-influencers. When I finally looked up these people, there were 2 2B actors, a bunch of people signed to agencies before the villa, models. What do you mean these were non-influencers? Like, what? These are all influencers. And that's it.
I love it. Somebody asked a question in the comments I want to address real quick. Hold on. Oh, Majestic Babe. Yeah, I did not love them mentioning it gave okay, so I don't know if y'all have had that friend before, right? But like you go out and somebody's like, "Oh my God, your dress is so cute." And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's mine. I let her borrow it." Like, why the fuck are you saying that right now? Like, why are you mentioning that? Why are you talking about how you gonna say, like, why? Why are we saying this? We didn't need to know. We didn't need to know. And why are we talking about it? I don't know. It was weird that Trinity brought it up. It felt shady. But Trinity often, and I know that people like Trinity, and that's fine, but she often has moments where I don't think she thinks about the impact of her words on the people that are around her that she says she cares about. Care Bear. I think that, I can remember being Trinity's age and saying, I'm just blunt. I'm just direct. And I had to learn the lesson of seasoning my words with grace. Now, that don't mean sometimes I'm not going to cuss you the fuck out if you need to be, right? But like sometimes, just chill, because if they can't receive the message because of the way that I gave the message, then the message is not effective. You feel me? And so I think that, there does have to be some growing up in that area. And yeah, I didn't love it personally. Not you said her and Bryce give plants. Aaliyah, I have not talked about her much this season because I will tell you, I haven't been a fan. What I will say is that I've always said that I appreciate, yes, Lola, this picture is better. I will say that I appreciate, and I've always said, yeah, exactly, Nikki. As long as you can understand the harm of it, right? I need you to be clear that that's like anti-Black behavior, and we don't fuck with that over here, right? I know that, again, people be thinking it's a key, but we got to be mindful of how we engage as Black folks. Shit, what was I saying? Fuck. Okay, what I appreciate about Trinity is that she subverts expectations of Black women. So, right, there's a very specific box that Black women get placed into. Okay, I'm going to complicate this for a second. There's a very specific box that Black women typically get placed into. And I feel like in some ways, Trinity pushes up against that narrative. She says, like, actually, I'm not going to do that. And I appreciate her for that. That said, I do think, not her fault, but I do think that there is some level of like the sassy Black woman trope that shows up. And I think that that's part of why people like her so much, if I'm perfectly honest. She's she's gorgeous, right? Like, duh, like Face Card is amazing. So I know that also moves people. But the fact that she's memeable and she's a little bit of a caricature to them, I think that some of the public, they don't even probably consciously realize it. But I do think that, part of that does show up. That said, I do appreciate that she's being herself rather than feeling like, she has to guard herself completely on the show. You know, I appreciate that she lets herself be seen in ways that may not be great. And like that she's okay with it, you know? Because I feel like it's unfair to ask Black women all the time to hold it all together, which was my first critique about the audience when it came to Anaya this season. That I felt like you all were asking for Black perfection and Black excellence. And I needed you to understand that that's also rooted in white supremacy. She does not need to be a strong Black woman. That girl can fucking cry if she wants to on that goddamn island. Leave her the fuck alone. Let her feel her emotions. Shit. So yeah, that's that. Okay. Larja, please give me your thoughts, my love.
Hey, Tina. Happy Friday.
Hi, Steve. Happy Friday.
I was so glad when you came on your video and you were like, spoiler alert, I fast forwarded. I'm watching Love in Mayor Huntsville instead. I was like, oh no, what happened? So I did the same thing. And thank God. Why haven't I ever done that before? I've been sitting there torturing myself, falling asleep all season. And I could have just fast forwarded to some shit. And then when I get to the end, I didn't even get to the end. I just fast forwarded to the part where I saw Titi kind of reading. And then I saw him drop their head. And then I kind of saw what looked like happiness on Zach's face. But and like it was like a happy surprise. And then I finally turned up the television and he was like doing this, well, I'm so glad I met all you guys. I was like, wait till you see the playback. And wait till you see the playback. I don't think you're gonna love it then. But yeah, the psyop worked. It was definitely a psyop. The programming of the harmful stereotypes of Blackness, the infighting, the crabs in a bucket mentality was definitely evident. And yeah, right. And I feel like as a participant of it, it was too late for me to undo what I had said because I was so into the psyop, you know, but all it took was the confirmation of the target being assassinated, basically, that I was like, uh-oh. And I participated for entertainment. I like voted. I like had a watch party for this ish. I what? So, universe, I'm sorry. But seriously, the infighting was not cute. And I still don't understand the willingness to overlook compassion with each other when we have those opportunities. And when it could have been it was so easy. You literally had a pile of smelly horse manure in front of you and a shiny red Fiji apple. And you go to the horse manure and hold your breath while praising it. And you go to the Fiji apple and you act like it's poison. It's insanity. And I was like, but you participated. So I'm not going to watch anymore. And you guys will have to tell me what happens on After Sun tomorrow. I'll have to see it in a clip or something because I'm done. I'm reclaiming my time. I'm reclaiming my mind. I'm done. I deleted the freaking app. I watched Peacock for other stuff, but I'm not participating for season 9. I told myself for season 8 I wasn't going to do it larger. And then it was like peer pressure FOMO kind of thing. And then I was like, okay, some Black people. And then they did this. And now I'm like out again. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
Until such time as it were. Thanks, Tina.
Love you. Thank you.
Thank you, girl.
Because wake that up. No, I said I wasn't going to watch season 8 publicly. And then I was like, I'm just going to watch it and not tell the public I'm watching it. But then I had so many opinions and I'm a fucking yapper. So I got on the goddamn internet, child. And I walked away since. Yeah, I definitely want to see Majestic Babe. I definitely want to see Casey and TT. I want to see what their, family say to them, even though they just had family day, ooh, I wonder if they'll be able to like hang with their family since they are doing things differently this year. Okay, anyway, sorry. Bunny Smiles, give me your thoughts, my love. Bunny Smiles, do you know you're up here, babe? It happens sometimes.
They might have fell asleep.
It happens.
Well,
We
we
gotta
know
go to bed
Nana. We
bad,
know
y'all.
Nana's in the bed,
But
child. We know
Nana needs to
Nana's in
be
the
in the bed. I love it though.
bed. Tina, can I before we get to
Yeah.
Lola, can I just say this? The fact that this has opened up white creators to
Ooh.
speak on Black issues is wild to me. And leading the charge is a white lady with red hair that may have 0.25% Black in her, and a woman with colored contacts that are out here telling the masses they're nothing but swirlers, and they're like, that bothers me. And y'all open the floodgates for these white people to come after a Black person. I could care less if it's a man or a woman. Fair is fair and justice just. And I have seen way too many white publications, white media outlets that are progressive, calling calling out Casey and Corbin for their actions. Nobody else is paying attention to that. Yeah? Y'all are disgusting me. Seriously. Color contacts and a whole white woman with red hair that may have a drop in her talking about, and y'all allowing this shit, and y'all still following these hoes. That's wild to me. That's so wild. Hey, you know what? Shalacers and swirlers, y'all just told on yourselves so big. So loud. Y'all are so loud. And I would have voted for Melanie and Sincere only if I trusted Melanie to take that money for her own, because I believe in what's fair and what's just.
Mm-hmm.
And what is fair and just, Melanie wins and keeps the $100,000, but she's not gonna do that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Okay, hi Cameron. I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna give y'all a new tap goal. I'm gonna give you 6 minutes. Is that too aggressive? Bye, Larja. I'm gonna give you 6 minutes to hit 150K. I feel like you can do it. Lola, give me your thoughts, my love.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me back here again. I do want to apologize first. I normally do funny profiles. I did one for Casey last time. So this was just a way of being funny. So please don't take it too serious. I do apologize for that. So first of all, I am very sad. I kind of cried today, kind of. I felt really down because I kind of knew that this was going to happen, because during the preview, I noticed that they didn't show Casey's face. So they didn't show Casey's reaction. So I knew that it was Casey and Titi, because during the preview, the one they dropped, it wasn't showing Casey's face. They didn't show his reaction. So I kind of knew that Casey and Titi were going home. I think people have lost the plot of the show. I think this is a dating show. This is Love Island. You're meant to find love and win the money. We only have one couple on the show. The rest is a situation or a probability. So I am guessing that coming next season, the producers are going to be very, very careful what they're doing, because at the end of the day, the same thing that happened last season is happening again. Where we do not have couples, we're just having people who are aiming for the money. That's how I see it. Because we only have one couple, Bryce and Trinity. The other couple that we have, that's boyfriend and girlfriend, they got dropped, which is kind of wrong, because the show is a dating show. You're meant to have your love, the person you love, and you're meant to have people vote for you to win the money because you found your love, if that's correct. Um, I would say Casey, if it's possible, I think Casey has to sue some creators for defamation of character. Because what I've been seeing so far is beyond me. Like, I have seen people even write an article. I don't know if you've seen the article about Casey. I think it was a white woman who wrote that article. I was reading it. I could share it to you maybe by DM. And I was like,
About
I
him
was,
participating in great culture.
yeah, I was like, what's going on? What's this? Are we going gaga? Because this is so unnecessary. Casey did like a pinch of salt of what anyone outside have done to women, if that makes any sense. Casey did not raise his hand on a woman. Casey did not drag someone on the floor. In fact, Casey apologized for his actions. So I think that he has done more than enough, like, for me. So I'm surprised that we are still dragging, even after he has gone, people are still dragging it. And again, when people are talking about Casey's mom, I was like, what did the woman say? She didn't say anything. So why are we bringing up Casey's mom? Bringing up how he's poor, he come from a poor background, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what did this guy do so much? I think any black man that is going on that show, I would advise them not to go because it's a waste of time. The black men that have been on that show, they've not gained anything from it, even after they leave the show. Like, there is nothing to gain from the show. And I think what the producers are aiming for is to put black people as the side characters. That's how I see it. I said it at the beginning of this season that Kenzie was initially meant to be the winner of the show. Kenzie or Melanie. That was their aim, to make Kenzie the winner of the show. But that didn't turn out well. So they had to scrabble around and see what they can do. Because if you notice, they were not showing Casey and Anaya that much at the start of the week. It was mostly Melanie and Kenzie. So it turns out that, people didn't like Kenzie. So they had to look for a way to, bring in viewers. And what do they have to do? They have to make the side characters, the black people, the main character of the show. So that's how I see it. They know what they are doing. They know that black people are bringing viewerships. And the only way you can do that is to either make the black person the side character or the protagonist of the show or the villain. And unfortunately, the black men are beginning to, in fact, not even black men, both black women and black men. Last year, it was Olandria. They said she was the bully. This year, is Casey and Anaya. So it's painful to watch that they are doing cat and mouse with us. And we are playing into it. Unfortunately, I'm glad that I was able to withdraw myself. I think it was episode 28 when everything started going downhill. I just had to, after voting, the last episode where I had to vote, I just withdrew myself from the show because I have to detox. Like, I cannot. Thank you.
No, I totally understand. I do think, a little bit, maybe we might be, in a toxic relationship with fucking Love Island. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do think that, like, sometimes I do want to be quiet, but the way the rhetoric, I'm told, if anybody followed me from last year, then you've heard me already say, I was never talking about Love Island publicly until they started whacking Shelly about that heart rate challenge situation. That was when I started yapping about this show because I was like, fuck no, like, y'all are tripping, y'all are doing too damn much. Thank you. And then, like, once I saw the discourse about Casey and Anaya, and how far I just couldn't not say something about it. And I tried to, like, pivot the conversation and be like, let's see them as individuals and, like, humanize them and not only see them within their coupling, but, like, people just would not do that.
Can I ask a question to Lola? Where are you currently at?
I'm currently in California, Los Angeles, but I'm I'm from another country, so I am not an American, but I am in the
Okay.
US. Yes.
Okay. No, I just think that there's a learning opportunity here, because when you first came up, you stated that you normally use pictures, to kind of, like a cheeky thing, sort of thing. In It's kind of when engaging in black spaces in America, you kind of have to think about it like traveling to another country. You need to know the culture and some of the language. And when you said don't take it seriously, it is very serious here. And I don't necessarily think you meant it that way, but I'm just cautioning you to um, understand what anti-blackness is in this country, and start to engage, because in a lot of spaces they will let that go because of their faith, right? We've talked about it here so many times that people's morality starts and stops with who they like. And I just want you to be aware of that, because I do think, that it's a learning experience for any black person that has not been born and raised here, and to understand that everything that you choose to use as something funny needs to be evaluated before you use it. So I hope you find this a safe place. Even if you want to DM me and run it past me, I'll be more than happy to do that. I just wanted to let you know that.
I completely understand. Thank you. I understand. I do apologize again. So,
I appreciate it,
um,
Lola. Yeah, like
I
we're not
understand.
trying to whack you. It's just a learning opportunity. That's it. And I appreciate you being receptive to the feedback. We have the Crown Act in this country for a reason. This country is very weird about Black women in our hair. So I appreciate you being willing to reflect it.
Yes, I appreciate that as well. Yes.
Okay, Star's Journey is going to give me thoughts, and then I'm going to let y'all open panel while I go to the restroom. Star's Journey, give me your thoughts, my love.
I had just wanted to say something quickly. I didn't watch this episode, but in regards to what you were saying about this toxic relationship with Love Island, it's so funny because they know that we have a toxic relationship with them, because their message was, see y'all next year, kissy face. So
They said, we sincere, y'all, Melanie. You ain't going nowhere.
exactly. So I was like, oh, wow. Okay. We clearly like being abused. I need to relinquish myself from this relationship. But I just wanted to throw that in there. I'm listening to what everyone's saying. I'm like, I really need to do a detox from Love Island.
Yeah. Hello, world, not them calling us beloved. Please. Listen, I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. Maybe I can actually give it up. Listen, I finally gave up Zeus. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even that deep in with Love Island. I'm only 2 seasons in. Zeus, I was on that ship before they had any real shows on that motherfucker. When they just had people sitting down from other shows that didn't like each other to talk it out. I've been on Zeus instead.
Wait, why'd you give it up?
I gave up Zeus because what's that boy's name? Lemmy.
Lemon Pepper?
Lemon
Yeah.
Pepper Stepper. His daddy is associated with that star place that are redacting watermelon people. And there was a video out a while back, y'all, that was like tracing the story of the way Zeus happened, how he stole it from somebody. It's messy. And I was like, you know what? I need to just step back. You know what I'm saying? I need to not associate my dollars. Cause listen, I don't pay for Peacock, right? So, I mean, Peacock, if you're listening, I have a subscription that I pay for, y'all. But like, I was paying for Zeus and I was like, I can't keep doing it. And I really wanted Zeus because of Baddies, but Baddies was supposed to be, the original concept was a more fun idea to me than what it became. And so, I can only watch bitches beat each other up for so many fucking episodes before I'm annoyed.
Yeah, what happened to pots and pans?
I
You know,
stopped
what
too.
happened to Tanisha? You know what I mean? That's a level of petty I can get behind.
But
I
it's
stopped
funny when
watching
they're in
that
their
after.
20s. It's not funny when they're in their 40s and 50s.
This is true.
Then like who's paying for that health insurance?
They are.
That was the same type of transition with Bad Girls Club, though, because that wasn't the initial concept, and then it started to change where everyone was fighting.
Yep.
Yeah, remember it was supposed to be like a reform thing, like that first season. They were like, "We have to help you guys stop being bad girls."
Can you stop being a bad girl? They would bring a therapist in and shit.
Yes.
Y'all, this is very niche content. This is very niche information, right?
And then they start throwing bitches mattresses and purses and personal items in the pool.
Yes.
The shaving cream. Oh my gosh, just pulling people's
But
hair.
nothing will beat the original baddies.
Putting stuff in the contact.
I ain't never seen that.
Hot sauce in the juice.
I don't understand.
World where
I
people
don't
got they
understand.
I ain't never watched shit on
Rima,
Zeus.
what happened to a world where people got their ass beat for a reason, y'all? For a real reason.
Exactly.
Like real
Where you
love.
couldn't hide
When they
behind the
beat up the
screens.
racists, like come on. That's the type
we
of
don't
energy
beat people
I'm
up in
on.
This is orchestrated beef on TV. These people don't even be knowing each other and be ready to fight like fucking Mike
They be fighting
Tyson.
at auditions, literally asking them to. It's like somebody said it, and I was like, "Oh, I can't like unsee it." They were like, "It's basically what's that Roman shit?
The gladiators.
The gladiators.
Like it's basically gladiators. Like, and when the girls started telling us very openly that they were being paid to have certain fights, I was like, "Oh, y'all, come on!" Like I can't.
And Jocelyn, and that's why Jocelyn up here making videos that she's scared for her life. You know what I mean? Because it's
That's because she sold a little piece of her soul for the fame on that show.
She was making money.
Jocelyn is to them girls what she said Lemmy is to her. So Jocelyn,
that is facts. I was just I knew.
I'm just gonna support
Basketball wives.
I need y'all to
I'm
go
never
back.
not gonna like Ivory. I'm gonna just support her with my likes.
Okay, period.
Well,
okay, Lola asked the question that I think is a good one that I'll kick to the panel. What do we think Casey could like transition to? I think definitely fashion, because they talked about how he be putting that shit on. I think he is the best dressed guy in the villa this season.
For sure.
I just didn't like them white
Casey
socks
been
with
dressing
high
down.
waters.
But that's his
I know.
style.
I don't like it
No,
though. That shit look a
Casey
mess.
be dressing down. I have
Other
enjoyed
than
all
that,
of Casey's
he was
outfit,
cool.
besides the pink salmon suit on the first day. But everything
I didn't like
else,
the pink suit. I did not. You were correct.
I don't even like men in pink, but his suit didn't bother me with his
Can I say
brooch.
something? I think he can be a host, like interviewing. He's good at interviewing.
yes.
I think he should do
I
that.
don't think he has the
think
words
so.
yet.
No,
I don't
he
think
does.
so.
I don't know if
He
he's
does
quick on his
phenomenal
feet enough.
videos.
He needs to be. He needs to work on
No.
eye contact. I think,
And
if
his
he would
words.
do that.
Exactly.
And
Like
his
you guys said,
poker
he isn't quick
face.
on his feet and isn't good at like riffing, right?
No, he just
He's not
giggles.
good at negative discourse or unfavorable discourse, I should say. I think I don't know if he wants to, but I know his focus was more like charity work, giving back to the community. So philanthropy and athleticism, like just fitness.
And streaming. He was
Didn't he
streaming.
want to go into being a nurse? Shouldn't he? Or not?
Yeah,
that's what I'm
nursing.
saying.
Yeah.
I hope he goes back to school and
Yeah,
completes
he should do that.
I hope that he goes back and does his regular normal thing on top of like kind of what Nick said he did. Like, he was going to modeling gigs and then going to classes for work. Like, I'm hoping that like he can be that level and be able to actually use his skill to bring awareness to our community. That's what I want for him.
Yeah.
And y'all know TT was out here hustling, y'all. She was in everything.
True.
She a whole video vixen, and
Yes.
she got the '90s girl look too.
Yeah.
Yes.
90s girl aesthetic.
And to
Y'all,
know
Early
that
2000s.
I got a question.
Casey's her
Y'all
first
follow?
boyfriend, I'm just like
Y'all-
shocked.
Do y'all follow me too? But good for her. Because honestly, I probably should have left some alone back in my day before I booed up with him. But do y'all follow he's on YouTube. Seventh, I was gonna ask you who that creator you follow.
His
No,
name is I Be
yo,
Chillin'.
he's so
He's
funny. His
funny.
videos
Tina, if
be
you
like
get a minute,
8 to 10 minutes.
they be quick. They
If
be
you
like 10 minutes
they
long.
be they be quick, and sometimes like he's been holding lines, but like he's really, you know, really gives like, a fair balance critique.
Yeah.
There's a smidge bit of,
Being a
patriarchal,
man. Exactly.
yeah, misogyny that comes with everybody. This is why it was so crazy. This is why it was so
But he's
crazy
he's like
when people were
he's honest.
calling, yeah, when people were calling Casey red pill versus like having a normal education on what dismantling misogyny that we all have within ourselves. It's not just a man problem, it is a woman problem as well. Just as like anti-blackness does not fall into one category, we all have that because we are all, either been enslaved or colonized in one way or the form. And like, I'm not gonna, continue to beat that. But what I will say is that his opening of the last video, it's so funny
Yeah, Tina, I'll
because
send you one of his
Tina,
videos
Okay.
so you can go
when
look
I
at his
tell
page.
you he opened that video with Casey's or TT's cousin, and what song was it? It was
I
my
forgot.
baby. But it
But
was something like, it was
yeah,
some
so
90s. It was
he
hilarious
loves
because we
black
all thought
women.
this. He loved
He one of them light skinned boys that love dark skinned women too.
it's so
But
funny.
yeah, he and that's the guy who I was saying he's a huge fan of Anaya. Like in the beginning, he was like, look at her, like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful, this and this and that. But towards how things were shifting in the season, he like, nah, Anaya, I gotta call you out. I gotta call you out. So he does give fair takes. Nobody's gonna agree with everything anybody said, everybody says. But his videos are really quick. I haven't watched one of his lives yet, Nikki, but I see he's been doing them. I think he does his lives like once a week, and he has like two or three other people on his panel. Those are a bit longer, but the episodic reviews, they're like 10 minutes or less.
May I ask his username? It's I be chillin'. How many
Mm-hmm.
followers does he have?
He's trying to get to 5,000 before
Yeah.
before the finale,
Okay, I
y'all.
see.
Yeah, it's a real, like, he gives lightheartedness and at the
He
same
has
time
dry humor
calling
too.
very dry humor. So you have to be in that. Yeah.
So dark skin has a question, but I do want to approach what you said, Lola. They're talking about it in the comments, and like, my perception is not that KC and TT isolated themselves from the cast. My perception is that they were isolated by the Islanders, right? Because while they said, like, I love y'all and I'm glad that y'all have embraced me, et cetera, there were also several times where they talked about it's us against the whole island, it's us and all, as long as we got each other, as long as I talk to you, it's fine if I don't talk to anybody else, even TT telling Zach, you never talk to me. So I know something is up, right? So like they were
I'm glad she told me that.
they were definitely practicing isolation tactics when it came to them. And honestly, I can't even give the benefit of the doubt. I was going to say, whether it's conscious or subconscious, I think it is conscious,
No, it's very
Can I add to
conscious.
that?
Because,
Can I add to that?
yes,
I
let me
think
finish
they
real quick, Lola. Hold on real
okay.
quick. And then I'm going to let you add to it. Because y'all were close with Casey. So you're making a conscious choice to not be now. Okay, go ahead, and I'm going to go to the bathroom.
I was going to say they did the same thing to Jen. You said something at the start and you were like, they were not that mean to Jen. I think they did the same thing to Jen. If you notice, Jen was only speaking to Kenzie at the start. Then as time went on, when Beatrice left the villa, then they became close to Jen. So I think they isolated any person they deem a threat to what they have or their friendship. And if they are willing to accept that person inside the circle, if that person is not a competition to them. And that's what So had to go through. Jen was, unfortunately for her, Beatrice, who was the competition, had to leave. The girls had to accept her. But TT, on the other hand, was still in there. Anaya was still in the house. So it was kind of, there was still a bit of competition there because Anaya likes, I won't say likes Casey, but Casey and Anaya were coupled up, and now Casey's coupled up with TT. So there'll be kind of resentment from the girls towards TT because that's the reason why Anaya is feeling the way she's feeling because of TT. So that's how I see it. I think the girls, there's someone that I've spoken about this before. They kind of act like it's, I don't want to call it a court, but it looks like, you have to go through some certain levels before we can welcome you. That's how it felt like.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
Trinity did say that she was gonna vote them out when she was arguing with them, or something
Yeah,
along the
she said
lines
boot
of
this
that.
bitch out the villa. That's what she said.
She said what?
about
Yeah.
Boot this
TT.
bitch out the villa.
Right. I
Yeah.
thought she said out my villa, but
She
I
said
could be
out
wrong.
mine. Yeah, she said
I think
mine.
it's Maya, but
Yeah, she used mine.
yeah,
And
the only
then
reason they brought TT, and I say brought with like very loose quotes, into the fold was because they saw that TT and Casey were part of the four
Saved.
compatible
Yeah.
couples. That's when there's like if the reactions they all had, you can see how pissed they were. And this
Yep.
was like post Casa, like after Anaya and Casey had made up or whatever, they were still not messing with Casey and TT. And like you could, if you're not paying attention, you miss it, but you could see it. You could see
Yep.
it.
And I noticed that Casey was not really that close to Sincere anymore. And I think it's because
Yes.
of Sincere going behind Casey's back and
Yeah,
just discussing what he discussed with, Sincere. There was no
yeah, it
trust there
was the
anymore.
time when Soul came in and Casey was talking to the boys about how he felt about Soul, Sincere and Anaya had that conversation on the couch outside where Sincere was like, oh yeah, Soul looks like his ex. And when Anaya came or went to Casey and said, oh, well, Sincere told me this, that, and the third, and inflated everything and twisted everything around. That's when I noticed Casey stopped talking to Sincere.
Yep.
Like when Casey and Sincere would chat, it would be Sincere talking and Casey listening or saying yes or whatever, but he did not share deep thoughts and feelings with Sincere.
Meanwhile, he should have refrained from sharing them with Bryce and Zach. I think him and
He did.
Sincere still were cool because the way Sincere, that's the first time he cried. It was over KC leaving tonight. I just don't think it was shown as much anymore. I think they remained tight the whole time.
Well,
I
and
just
tonight. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
I
Sunflower.
just wish he knew. He doesn't know, but I wish he knew how scammy Bryce and Zach were towards him and Anaya's connection.
Right.
That
I also
upset
do
me
want to
so much
mention
for
that, like,
movie night.
tonight when he was giving his speech or whatever, Sincere, he did name KC first as like a person that he could go to. That said, I do feel like a lot of Sincere, I've seen him offer reciprocity to Anaya one time, but I feel like a lot of his conversations are often one-sided. I do think that we did get something different than that when they were planning the girlfriend proposal or whatever. But I do think that like maybe we're not getting all of it. But you feeling like you can go to somebody for help, do they feel the same about you? I guess would be the question. I do want to address Solar Goon in the comments. You're making great points and you are absolutely correct. We typically do tend to gravitate to the people that look like us, aka a la the book that you mentioned, right? Why are all the black kids sitting together at the lunch table?
I got that book.
Great book.
I have that book in my house right now.
So I do think that, like, yes, inherently we do. And here's the thing for me about Jen. Here's why I don't really feel like I don't think that you're wrong. I do think that they really wasn't fucking with Jen. That was definitely obvious to me, if no other time, but on movie night when Jen was like, and I didn't tell it, and they were like, shh, like they wanted her to like shut, like they shushed her. And it was like, I don't think they would have shushed each other like that. So I was like, oh, they don't really fuck with Jen like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think she might annoy them or something a little bit. But I will say though, I wasn't giving, to be fair, as much, grace to Jen about it because I felt like Jen chose her team. The fact that, you know, Kenzie kept talking about, you know, I'm the only blonde. I've been the only blonde. I'm the only blonde. Baby, we know what you mean is you're the only white. We know that what you mean is you're the only white in here. And so Jen aligned with that. And so I'm like, I actually don't give a fuck about them not welcoming you into the fold because I don't think you truly cared to be. I think y'all was cool being linked up as the white blonde girls, especially I'm never going to get off of the fact that she tried to paint that scenario with Corbin and Melanie and Kenzie as though Kenzie was the person suffering and the victim in that dynamic. Jen, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And then the fact that she tried to talk about Gabe being extra lustful toward her, but then was like, well, why aren't you attracted to me when it came to the white guy? There were certain things that I'm like, girl, I actually don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I know that ain't right. You know, if they being mean or isolating her, you know, I should be fair across the board. But sometimes I feel like we pick the shit that we, you know what I'm saying? We pick our experiences to an extent. And I felt like she picked her experience a little bit.
And look who ended up crossing her in the long run.
Right.
Can I address something that was in the comments?
Yes. And I'm not dark skin. Go next. Go ahead,
So
Nikki.
when we thank you, dark skin. So when we were talking about the creator I Be Chillin', listen, and somebody brought up that he wasn't in favor of Nicolandria, and yes, I have watched the live show, and yes, one of his like there's some problematic things, but here's the thing, y'all. We sometimes need to listen to black men. Just listen, you know, and just see past that and see what they're really saying, seeing what they really feel. Because I do feel that there's very little spaces that we get to have an honest discourse, even though some of the things we disagree with, we have to be able to disagree and take the things we can and don't. Like as long as you're not, like I said, as long as you're not bothering them or you're not defaming them or you're not keep talking about them, I have your opinion. That's what opinions are really allotted for. So I just wanted to just say that, just so if anybody goes to watch, you know, a live, that's really when you can see it. And I didn't really find him until this season. So
Me too.
you know,
I didn't know he didn't like Nicolandra.
I didn't either until, you know, his boy, like I did watch a live and his boy was saying that he believed Trinity over Nicolandria. I was just like, oh my God.
The fact that was
but
his
you know
boy.
what? But you know what? If you're not looking for black love in all respects, regardless of where it comes from, then you're not gonna see what we saw. You're gonna continue to have that, and that's just what it is. So I just wanted to bring that up. So if y'all go over there and hear a live or see something in the comments or whatever, just let it be, or just don't even go over there if you're that sensitive.
You know what? I didn't know that. But I also, not to like, I don't care personally, only because like, to Nikki's point, unless they're actually defaming a person, I be chilling. Unless you're defaming a person or like dogging people, I don't really care if you didn't like them. You know what I mean? And like, if we're using that as a measuring stick, then we shouldn't really be fucking with the majority of people on that fucking island.
And that's why I don't.
That's right.
because they weren't just not fucking with her when it comes to Kata and Trinity explicitly. It wasn't just you not fucking with her. Kata was reposting that shit at the height of the anti-blackness that Shelly and Alandra were experiencing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
And
the
it was
allegation.
Trinity that followed
Hmm.
Sierra. So
And her
And she
likes
scrubbed her
and
social
comments.
media. I looked at
Mm-hmm.
that. She scrubbed her entire social media. So y'all up here talking about some black man creator talking about he don't like Nick and Landria. Your faves, some of y'all faves do though.
mhm.
Don't like them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, actually, I do think that some things are a litmus test, as much as I like let Kata be my top girl when she came in. I would have never given Kata a vote. I'm sorry. I would have never given her a vote because if you move like that about black women, you can't be trusted. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
But you
Not
saw her. She was showing signs of that shit in these last few episodes,
100%.
and you could
Yeah.
tell who she was raised around.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I
Dark
sorry,
Skin
go ahead.
Lover Girl has a question.
Yeah, I was gonna just interrupt at some point. Okay, so my question is speaking about reciprocity. I hope I said it right.
Yeah.
I first before I ask the question, I've noticed that Carl has thrown what is it called? When compliments at Anaya. However, I haven't, and maybe you guys can tell me because I do forward through Love Island, seen Anaya throw it back at Carl. So, speaking about reciprocity, do you guys think, that's my first question, that Anaya is a selfish lover? And I'm not talking about just sexually. I'm not talking about just sexually. That's
Like
my
a
first question.
selfish partner.
Yes.
Okay.
And then my second question is, with this cast so far, I know we haven't seen the finale. Do you think everyone will be back for Beyond the Villa?
Okay.
Can I answer?
Before y'all answer, I want to give a tap goal. Let's do 7 minutes to get to honestly 180K. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all respond first.
Okay, I was going to say something at the start of when you gave me the opportunity to speak, but I didn't want to say anything about Anaya, because I'm done with, the Anaya case. I would say there are two self-centered people in that villa. Not two, but the two people I could point out, Sincere and Anaya. Those are the two most self-centered people, and I'll give you the reason why. Anaya is indirectly self-centered because she only cares about her own emotions. You can see that based on how she acted. When she walks away, she does not even look back to think of how this person is feeling at the moment. You understand? She gives you the opportunity to speak, but she takes out what she wants to she takes out from, like, for example, now me and you are speaking and I tell you, oh, a plus a is 1 plus 1 is 2, and you go around and say, okay, I heard you say 1 minus 1 is 2. Do you understand what I'm saying? She takes what she wants to get from what you're telling her. And that is a self-centered person. When they do not get the clear message you're trying to give to them, whether it is, directly or indirectly, you're giving them, you're asking me a question and I'm telling you the answer, and you're only picking parts, the message you want to receive from that and going with it. That's one. Two, where when she's having a discussion with someone and someone is telling you that you're doing okay, but you're not receiving that message, you're just going with what you are feeling at that moment, even though someone else is telling you that you're okay. But because you want to keep on receiving that compliment and feeding that energy in you, because that is what you need, without caring about the other person, that is a self-centered person. That's one. Then I won't speak about Sincere. I think Sincere is very clear why he's self-centered. Thank you.
May
Thank
I
you.
add?
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree, I do agree with what Lola's saying. However, I don't know. Because I also kind of relate to Naya in that way. Like when I receive compliments, especially from men mostly, from men, I don't really compliment them back. Maybe every once in a while, but it just feels weird to me to compliment a man. Um, Especially when it's regarding looks. If it's regarding like other things, like their intelligence or their personality, I think I'm able to more freely give those compliments. But when it's regarding looks, like, oh, you're so beautiful, or like saying, oh, you're so handsome and you're fine, like, I don't know. I just feel like that's a little bit weird for me. And I think I will kind of like relate it back to her relationship with her mom. Oh, you can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. When it go with her relationship with her mom, you see how like her mom kind of shuts down her emotions. She's like, why are you crying? Oh, you never done that before. You even when in Casa, when they saw the pictures, Anaya went to go cry inside the photo booth away from everybody. So I think that's a little bit like part of it, like, because we're probably not used to receiving compliments like that. So being able to like kind of like translate that and give somebody else a compliment back, I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to say she's selfish, but I do think that it's just not like something that's innate to her to do. Like she'll say, "Oh, thank you, Casey." Oh, and yeah, I don't know. I think that's
See, that's the
my
downside of
thought.
sports.
Yeah.
Yeah. What Anaya's mom did, that's the downside. I understand where it was coming from, and I also know the harm that it does, because this is not a sporting event. This calls for all your emotions to be seen, and you a lot of people, and are constantly, sports wrestling, Monday morning quarterbacking in a situation that they have never spent any time whatsoever. Please go read FDR's speech, Man in the Arena, because that is one of my favorite quotes. And one of my darlings is in the house. Just wanted to say, hey, girl. And, she will tell you, I used to read that speech as my opening speech in my program, Empower Up. It just really teaches you about being the person in the arena that, unless you are willing to put yourself out there, there's just, you're constantly, it's the gladiator style, what we talked about, right? It's all these people just, judging and rooting and like just ready for you to, redact, and root for your favorite person. But, you're never going to ever put yourself in a position to be in the arena. So why are we judging when we're not in the arena? And I felt like a lot of that was, parent, like her mom saying, like, dry it up. Yes, I get that in on a in a sport, right? I get that on the court, but what I don't get is not recognizing, and this is a lack of emotional intelligence on even her mother's behalf, that she didn't even recognize the level of trauma that it just takes to even be in that situation long term, as long as she's been in it, and having so many people and not being able to have a full conversation with people that love and trust her, and just be like, listen, this is, it's like Alandria's mom, when she came in, she was just like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, this is not the daughter I raised, you know? So, yeah, I think that's just an important thing to kind of clock. So I understand, and I'm not sure how old you are, Majestic, but if you are anywhere near Anaya's age, you should be able to relate to that. I probably would relate to a lot of things that happened with Anaya if I were watching it, around her age range. This is why we can be objective, being older and non-emotional about it, because and I just wanted to ask you a question with my last 2 minutes. Why do you feel like men don't need to be affirmed as well?
Before Majestic Babe, you answer, can I let anybody else that wants to answer Dark Skin's question answer first? And then
I
me
want
and
to answer.
go ahead, my love.
You had two questions. I think she said about Melanie and Sincere being selfish lovers. I want
Anaya,
to.
it's Anaya, selfish lover, and will
Who
they
did
be
I
on
say?
Beyond the
Oh
Villa?
yeah, Anaya, and she said something about Sincere too. I will liken this to both of them being athletes. Sincere uses a lot of sports analogies to try to make himself understand how he needs to treat people better. He did it tonight when he was talking about him and Melanie. I don't know if Anaya's mom was an athlete herself, but we know that her dad was, and Anaya is too. And sometimes that is the spirit of athleticism, and people that compete in any way, like toughen up, don't let them see you sweat, don't cry. But you have to come off the court, the field, or whatever sport you play into real life sometimes and allow her to have her emotions. We can see her mom and her sister are saying things like, you don't cry like this all the time. And they might not recognize because she isn't allowed or crying is shut down, toughen up. Anaya also has this escapism to this Disney princess narrative. And that might be why she might be treated, like a princess from her dad, being a daddy's little girl, or because she's had to be this strong willed athlete that never lets anybody see her sweat. It's like, okay, but in my relationship, I want to be a princess. That's my escape. So I'm not going to say that she's a selfish lover. I think we saw her spending more time in a connection that she didn't belong in with KC, and she didn't want to give it back to KC. She wanted to be reaffirmed because she felt some type of way about their connection. With Carl, they don't really show them doing much, but I see a little more reciprocity between the two of them than I saw with her and KC. Sincere, it goes back to what Nikkei was saying earlier. Like, even when he's wrong, he's been coddled and comforted and understood. Like, even when Bryce and Zach and even Dylan's funky ass, when they come talking about Sincere being held accountable, they come with this understanding, like, yeah, I understand you, man. But with KC, it's like, let him cool off. It's hot. You know what I mean? Or that's what he deserved. He deserved, well, the girls were going to do that. You knew they were going to say that. It's like he has to take all of the tough heat being thrown at here, but Sincere gets this understanding approach from the men and the women. As far as them being on Beyond the Villa, they need to cancel that fucking show. What did I say?
Oh my God, it's somebody in my life that just does not fuck with you, but I got to drop you because now that's two. So
okay.
Okay.
Cancel Beyond the Villa.
Come back in 10 minutes. Okay. Bye. Okay. I do want to answer this question too, but Star's Journey, if you want to answer, go ahead, my love.
Yes. I think all of them probably will be on the villa, beyond the villa. I feel like production probably wrote it into their contract or something like that. I think most of them will be. I was listening to another creator, I can't remember, but she was making some points as to Beyond the Villa being the reason that like some of the format and stuff for this season was changed to get more of them to have to commit to be on Beyond the Villa, because that's a continuation of a moneymaker for them. It was a really interesting video. If I ever find it, I'll probably repost it or share it, but she made some really good points. In regards to selfish lover, I would probably say yes in regards to both. The reason for Anaya, and I don't know if it's fully yes for Anaya, I just don't think she gives people, or at least what it seemed like when she was with Casey, that she was allowing him to, that whenever she was uncomfortable in a conversation, she would just get up and remove herself. I feel like sometimes that to me is like when you're having a conversation on the phone and the person hang up in your face. Like, it was just, she could never allow him to finish. She would say what she wanted to say. And if it wasn't going to what she wanted to hear, she would get up and leave. and never come back to the conversation. And it would just kind of come back to a different point. So I don't know if that is like selfish more, if it is communication style and being better in the communication style, because we also seen her be a little bit more giving, I think, when it comes to friendships ish. So I don't know. I think with her, I'm kind of half and half. With Sincere, yes. I think he puts himself first in everything, and sways everyone to put him first. Like, so I will definitely say he's a selfish lover, but I think with Anaya, I don't know. I think I would give her 50-50. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Thank you, Stars Journey. You actually touched a couple of things that I was going to say. I will say that, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Come back. Hi, Kiki. I meant to end your countdown. I pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry. Come back. I do feel like unless it's written into their contracts, I think that probably it's going to depend on when they watch back the show, what they see as to whether or not people will, do Beyond the Villa. If it's written into their contracts, they may not have a choice, but I think it's going to depend on what the rhetoric is when they get out of the villa, what they're seeing, how they're seeing themselves portrayed, et cetera, et cetera.
What happens at the reunion?
Well, I don't know when they have to sign on for BTV, because I know they started recording pretty quickly after the whatever the fuck, the reunion last year. To answer the question,
I think they started in November.
Do I think that Anaya is a selfish lover, aka selfish partner? Here's the thing. Somebody mentioned being self-centered. And I know that you all were, I actually want to address the conversation that was happening in the comments. For me, yes, all of them are at an age where ego is very big. And so they are going to over-identify in some ways with prioritizing themselves, because that's just sort of developmentally where they are. That's not inherently negative, but I don't even see truly like self-centeredness. What I see is a lack of emotional reciprocity. And to me, I think you do have that skill because she's able to exercise it with her friends. And so the fact that she was not able to exercise it with KC, and unfortunately, I haven't had an opportunity to see that with her and Carl to know if she can do it with him and just couldn't do it with KC. I don't know, right? All I have is the context of what I saw her do with KC. And she was not able to exercise emotional reciprocity in the safety and the expression of emotions, right? I made a video for y'all, but as subscribers, right? But there was literally a moment where she asked him, how do you feel? And when he started to express, immediately the response was defensiveness. Immediately the response was, well, but I meant it like this. It was explaining rather than actually taking it in and listening. And whether people want to admit it or not, that's not what I ever saw from KC about her. Maybe he got there at some point, but that's typically not how he started in their conversations together. He held a lot of space for her. He regulated quite a bit in their conversations. And I did not see that from her enough for me. And there were moments to Star's journey where she would get emotionally dysregulated based on what she was hearing. And she would leave the conversation, which honestly is like emotional abandonment. Can you imagine? I'm gonna explain it in a way that I think people, I'm gonna explain it in a way that I think people will get it, right? If you had a child and your child was upset about something that you said, oh, you have to eat your vegetables tonight, and they were crying about it, would you just get up and walk away from them? I mean, maybe some parents would, right? Or no, let me give you a better example. You've done something to actually hurt your kids' feelings, right? And they're trying to express it to you and they start crying and you get overwhelmed with their response. Would you just get up and walk away from them and then never come back and say, okay, let's fix it now? Like it was, and KC confirmed what I already thought, which is that the conversations would end when it wasn't appropriate for them to be ending. And then they would never come back to the conversations. So I do think that there was a level of like emotional abandonment in some moments. And I think that that's like a skill that she needs to learn how to do in her romantic relationships. I do think that she's somewhat better able to do it with her friendships. I will say though, that she also placates her friends a little bit, right? We saw that as well, right? Which is why her mom had to say, hey, why are you not being honest with Melanie? Why aren't you telling her the truth? Right. And it took that sort of like check around like, girl, like, what are you doing? Right. And so I do think that she has a tendency to placate with friends, but she doesn't abandon their emotional experience in the same ways that I saw her do it with Casey. And I know that it's a protection, like she's attempting to protect herself. But emotional care would look something like, I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I think we should stop having this conversation and then come back to the conversation. That's emotional care. Like, hey, yesterday we got really escalated. Let's revisit that. I really want us to come to a resolution. I want us to fix it, you know? And that's not what they ever did. And I don't like that. And again, if you're going to solicit someone's emotions, you don't get to say, oop, never mind. Actually, though, I don't want to hear those emotions. Like, I don't feel like that's fair. That said, she has said a lot of how she wants to be a princess and she wants her Prince Charming, and mom has mentioned her being raised as a princess and being daddy's little girl. And so I do think that there is potentially, this ideology or this like sort of like framing around when you're the princess, like you are weighted on hand and foot, like you really are the center and the focus, even though that's probably not historically actually accurate, right? But that's the way that it's framed in Disney movies. Like, right, you've got this guy pining after you that just does everything to make your life easy. And, oh, I've spent all this time looking for my beautiful prince. Like, that's the way that it's portrayed. And so I think that she buys into this ideology in a way that might be impacting her ability to exercise reciprocity in her dynamic. So I don't want to say that like she's selfish, but I have seen moments where I feel like she does not exercise reciprocity in ways that she could.
May I say something?
Yes.
So, I think, Tina, everything you said was like, yes, down to a T. Where I want to kind of disagree about how you said that she doesn't abandon her friends like she does with Casey. I feel like she did though, especially when they're in the dressing room right after that whole I'm Team Sincere dance. And was it Kata asked about, oh, but what about Team Melanie's feelings? And rather than her actually like pausing and saying, oh wait, how is Melanie feeling in this way, she said, no, but I'm Team Sincere, and like shut that down. And even like when it comes to the emotional reciprocity part, when Anaya was crying right after the recoupling, Melanie, she said, hey, no, don't cry here, don't give them that space. She took her and walked her away. And Melanie held space for Anaya's feelings. Melanie told Anaya that Casey wasn't worth it and that she should do what's best for her. But when it was Melanie's turn to receive that same kind of grace and that same kind of speech during movie night, Anaya didn't do that for Melanie. Anaya made excuses for Sincere rather than saying, oh, Melanie, I see that you're very hurt. I see how what Sincere did hurt you. You are better than this. You deserve more. You're worth more. I would like to say that in that way, Anaya has been selfish and abandoned her feelings. And I know, Nikki asked me a question. I'm 26. I'll be 27 next month. So I am in the age range of the Villa people. I don't think, to answer your question, I don't think I feel like men don't need to be affirmed. I think it's a couple of different things for me. I I'm a child of immigrants. My parents are from Nigeria. And so, my culture, we are very we're hard asses basically. Like, you don't cry, you don't show emotions, you don't show weakness, you don't allow people to get one over on you. And like I said, my mom, I saw a lot of my mom and Anaya's mom. I laugh about this now, but it's not funny. I have chronic illnesses and stuff. So I'm in and out of the hospital. And I remember one hospital visit I had, it was very tough and difficult on me. And I was crying and my mom was in the room and she said, "You need to stop crying or I'll leave." And she literally threatened to leave me while I was trying to process everything that was happening. And I remember when I, got home and I asked her, I was like, "Why is it, that when I cry, you get choked up? You don't hold space for me?" And she wasn't able to really give me an answer. She was like, "It just makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like to see you cry. I know it'll give you a headache." And she just wasn't able to process that. And I don't fully understand what within my mom, like where emotions, she just can't do it. Maybe it's because she's an Aquarius, but I think for me, seeing that and being in that kind of environment, I didn't see that space held for my older brother. I didn't see that space held for oh, this is a man that needs to be affirmed and his choices are, held. I just saw we were constantly compared to one another. He would be compared to me. "Oh, why aren't you like your sister? Why aren't you like this?" And I took the role of the good girl because of how I saw my brother treated when he deviated from the norms of the household. And so I think that's also part of it's not even that I don't feel like men need to be affirmed. It's more that I don't know how to, or I don't understand. I haven't seen, healthy examples of that. So even things like saying "I love you," I don't really say "I love you" to my family. It feels weird coming off the tongue, you know. I show it through my actions and through what I try to do, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where, well, I mean, you're a man. Why do you need my affirmation? You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but
I think
yeah.
that, thank you for answering that. Thank you for your candor. I would love to have this to be a later discussion so we could talk in depth, because that's how a lot of Black people are raised. It seems like globally, in all the cultures, because I know my mother had never, or she had never heard the words "I love you," and she vowed to raise her to make sure that she said that "I love you," for her kids. And even that sounded awkward. It took me a minute to, understand her upbringing and when she was open about that, and I can definitely relate in terms of my father, because anytime any of us would, cry or want a shoulder, he wasn't emotionally equipped to know how to deal with that. I think that there's a fine dance when it comes to having reciprocity in that way, knowing that men have, there's a whole culture around them that praises them all the time. So I definitely understand the caution behind it. I also just think that, I I think just looking at Casey and Anaya's situation, I just think that even if she gave, or we saw one, moment where, she was filling his cup, as much as we saw him filling hers, that I think we would have a different conversation around that. But so thank you. And, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you both for that Again, this is why I love my panels. I'm going to give you all a new tap goal. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to hit 225K. I think you can do it. Yeah, so I wanted to actually respond. So I actually, Majestic Babe, I think that's a great perspective to add to the conversation around like Anaya emotionally abandoning friends because she did not show up for Melanie in the ways that she needed. I will say that the way that I perceive it is when I meant abandoned, I meant like my friend is going through something and I quite literally get up and leave you, right? And I see that like you're talking about it from more of like a figurative place of like, what did my friend need and was I able to offer that? I see that more as like dismissiveness of her emotions rather than abandonment of her emotions, right? It's like kind of what your mom, like what you just shared about like how you experienced your mother, right? Like your emotions are actually scary for me and they're too much because it makes me feel uncomfortable. And so I need to get away from my discomfort. So I need you to stop having this emotion, right? That's not what they're saying. But as a clinician, this is what we would be talking about in therapy, right? And so I see Anaya as trying to get away from the emotion in the same way I see most people try to get away from emotions when she's watching Melanie have this experience. And for me, it does also tie back to, again, that like unspoken social contract that I think existed in the villa from day one. I think there is a part of her that also felt like Melanie did not deserve to have these emotions in some ways because you got picked. I think that was always in the back of all of the girls' minds to an extent, right? Which is why Kata said, well, what about being Team Melanie's feelings? But that motherfucker came in there with one goddamn rose and a breakfast plate. And she was like, oh my God, like melting, right? So I think for me, I didn't frame it that way because I feel like it's more attached to other things, but I can appreciate like your perspective around that. Bree and Kiki, you're new to the panel. I want to give you both time to share your thoughts. Not a value meal, so they're going. Bree, I'm going to go to you first, babe. I think Bree maybe don't know she up here. Yup. Okay, Kiki, my love, you're conscious that you're up here, yes?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you your time, my love. Go ahead and share your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm over this season because I'm so sick of production overproducing everything and being manipulative with the votes so that they pretty much don't matter anyway. Because it wasn't even satisfying to see Kenzie go home. That's how bad this stuff was. I'm just over it. So as a clinician, I want to ask you about Sincere, Kenzie, and Anaya. They all kind of do this thing where they say what the person in front of them wants to hear. But they do it for different reasons, it would seem like. Like Anaya, she seems to kind of try to mirror her friends and stuff. With Sincere, it's like I just got this vibe from him, like he does not care at all about his impact on Melanie. He's just tired of people ragging on him about it, and so he's saying what he thinks needs to be said in order for the conversation to end. It's like, oh, the sky looks so blue today. I love blue. Yeah, I like blue too. Blue's nice, but his favorite color is red. And he actually can't stand blue, but he just wants you to, you know. And Kenzie, same thing. Like she's gone from, I want to be your cowgirl with the farm. I want to be the surfer girl with the surfer babies. Like when they're trying to appease somebody, they say what the other person wants to hear. But as a clinician, are they essentially all doing the same thing, or are there different, or are these different strategies, or what is that? The mirroring and stuff is very weird to me.
Yeah, I think that their motivations are different. I think that Kenzie's and so this is why I would say that the behavior is different, right? Mm-hmm. Kenzie's motivation, from my perspective, is about being accepted, about being, my theory is desired, right? That's what I think she's been doing all season, trying to contort herself in order to be the thing that you would want so that you would desire me, because she had the the early wounding of being told you're not my type. And so I think that that's why we saw her contort herself in that way this season. I don't know if she does it outside of the villa. I also think that sometimes Kenzie is not super connected to like the reality of what's happening. And I say this because back to Zach, him saying, I've never really dated a blonde, choosing not to cuddle her. Like, why were you shocked that he stood on the red dot? Are we connected to reality, right? Like, are we actually
right? Because she was like he should have been honest or something like that, and he was like, he was very honest with you.
Correct, right? And so she was perceiving this totally differently than how we all watched it happen. And so for me, I think I think her motivation is that Sincere is a people pleaser. Sincere's motivation is to, y'all do have 4 minutes to get another 26K. Sincere's reasoning for doing what he does is really motivated by attempting to prevent conflict. He does not want to deal with conflict. Sincere, I do have a little bit more data, right? Because his mother has come out and said, I'm a psycho, so he'll be able to deal with Melanie. He deals with me every day. These were his mom's words, not mine. So if you come from an environment where you are used to emotional chaos, consistent nervous system dysregulation, you learn tactics and skills in order to survive that environment. I think that the two that we see the most from Sincere on this show is the people-pleasing behavior and the dissociation. That's what I think we see the most from him, right? Like, he was so dissociated in that last conversation with Melanie that he walked away from that conversation and was like, it went good. Yeah, like, it was great. Like, I'm just going to work on, like, it was not computing for real for him, right? So I think that what we're seeing from Sincere is a motivation of like avoiding conflict. And even though it may not be intentional, people pleasing absolutely is a manipulation tool. Like, you are manipulating the person because you're taking away actual consent. You're not letting them have all the information and then to react based on the information. You're only giving them what you think they want to hear. And then they're operating based on this very limited information. Sincere is also a person that does not share unless he's directly asked something that he thinks that you like would not like, right? When it comes to Anaya, I think that hers has more to do with, I think that Anaya, her mirroring is more about, this is the first time that I'm saying this out loud. I think that what we see is more of like a lack of assuredness around herself, right? And I think that, her insecurities were being triggered, I think, pretty much all season. And I think it started from the very first night when Sincere said, no, thanks, I'm going to choose Melanie. And so I think that acted as like a wound moment. And it probably is not the first time she's experienced rejection, right? But it re-triggered that. So what I think I'm seeing from Anaya is more so, who am I is what I feel like I've been seeing her do. And really like Anaya's she didn't really act like she just knew she was that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Because why you keep asking that man if he really wants you or not? Like, I feel like if you know you that girl, and I feel like Anaya was that girl. Like, if you know you that girl, like, you know what I'm saying? You're not really asking that question that many times. You feel me? And so I think that I also see this play out with Melanie though, right? And I'm going to tell you 2 moments that I can think of off the top of my head. When she was sitting with Melanie and talking to Melanie about soul and about KC exploring soul, and she's like, I just want to be, and she says first option and Melanie says only option. And Anaya doesn't push back on that. She doesn't say, no, I mean, I'm okay with us exploring. I just want to feel like I'm safe, that I'm also going to be the first choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't push back on that. She sort of like takes a beat, almost like she's registering, like, should that be my story? And then we have another moment after Casa has happened, but right before Casa happens, before the Hearts on Fire challenge, she's sitting with Trinity and Melanie, and she says, he said that he wanted to keep Soul, and she says, because he felt like she deserved another chance, which I understand. And Melanie says that would have pissed me the fuck off, and then looks at Trinity, and Anaya again doesn't push back on that. So I think what I'm seeing with Anaya, because she doesn't only ever say what people want to hear, she definitely says shit I'm sure Casey did not want to hear, right? But I think when it comes to the girls, what I'm seeing when she's feeding back what she thinks they want to hear, it's more so about, I don't know if I can actually show up as myself and tell you what I really think, because that might be rejected again. Back to that core wound that happened the first night. So I feel like she doesn't feel like she can truly stand in her truth and in her power, which is why her mom is like, why are you acting like that? Her sister's like, you need to talk to them like how you would talk to us. That's not the way they experience her usually. So I think that this is a byproduct of also the villa. That's what I think. So similar behaviors, different motivations. And thank you to the person that said I'm helping you to see other perspectives, Tiffany. I really like being in the deep end of the pool, so I like to let me nerd out.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that the reason why people are after Casey is to boost up Anaya? Do you think, like, to boost up Anaya's rating, in the sense that you're trying to pull Casey down to be able to have that narrative about Anaya being in a terrible relationship with Casey, and now she's rising up, doing well, found her person. Now they want her to be able to rejoice while putting the other person down, even though that's not the case. Because I'm seeing similarities between Ola and Anaya in a sense of when Taylor too was also in that case, even though we know Taylor and Casey are not the same thing, but there's a lot of similarities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, Lola, I've been saying this for a lot of this season. I think that a lot of the people watching the show this season are being triggered by their experiences of how they felt last season. I feel like a lot of people, I would pay money, not very much, but I would pay money for someone to do a poll on people that are Casey haters explicitly, because you can be an Anaya supporter without hating Casey, right? On Casey haters, how many of them were Shalacers last season? I would be very curious to know that data, because I think that a lot of people respond to Casey. So I think a couple of things too, explicitly. A lot of people are responding to Casey the way that they are because when they heard him big up a black woman, immediately their alarm bells went off of like, oh, the last time we trusted a black man about, loving a black woman, he betrayed us. And so I need to be hyper vigilant and cautious about this man and suspicious about every behavior moving forward. I think a lot of them have been triggered all fucking season and don't realize it. So that's one thing that I think is happening when it comes to the Casey and I thing. I also think that people just don't know how to do nuance, and most people are dichotomous. Most people just need it to be right or wrong, right? It takes a lot of effort and unlearning to be able to sit in the gray area of things. Most people just want you to decide, right? And so if they're going to support Anaya, they have to villainize Casey. That is the only way in their, black and white thinking. The only way that I can be for one person is to be, you all are so, and I'm like, I don't hate those people. Me talking about them and what I'm noticing about them is, or supporting someone else does not mean that I hate this person and want bad things for them. I'm just supporting this person, right? But the presumption is you must hate them because you like this other one, and that's how I move through the world. So I think that most people are also just, it's only an either or, right? Most people, unfortunately, do not sit in the space of both and often enough. And so this also plays out in the way that they engage with media, right? And one last thing. I think it also just is a lack of media literacy. A lot of people don't understand and have never been given the teaching around how to truly understand media. I started talking to my kids at a very young age about the tropes that they would see in media about Black people, about girls, about boys, right? About Asian people. Like, are you able to pick this up, so that they can be really literate in the media that they're watching? And I think a lot of people did not get that. And I think a lot of people don't read books. And so a lot of people don't know how to do, again, nuance. So he has to be the villain if they're going to support Anaya.
I think my thing is why everyone else get nuance and not him, right? Because when it comes to the men, even the ladies on the show, everyone have like problematic responses, behaviors, or what have you. And everyone except Casey that I've seen have been given nuance. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that. Even when it comes to Melanie and Sincere, it's not you have to hate Sincere for Melanie. And you could say it's because of them being in a relationship, not a relationship, or whatever it is that they're in.
Yeah.
But when Casey and Anaya was in a pairing, it was the same thing. Like people were still coming at his neck. Any little thing he's saying, oh, he said this because of that. He said this. Oh no, he never really liked her. But when you're looking at both sides, people could say the same thing for Anaya. Oh no, it wasn't that. Oh no, it wasn't that. And so it's like, I think for me, I could probably understand it if it was all across the board, or maybe even some people, but it only seems like it's only him, like that's being targeted from the beginning. But everyone else, even if people are talking negatively about them here and there, most of them have been given the space where people are able to look at them objectively outside of Casey. And I think that's probably what's been the hardest thing for me to wrap around this season.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, I haven't seen a lot of content that offers any nuance around like any of the other Islanders. Unless I'm like listening to like a clinician or like someone that has no investment in the show. I have seen some nuanced takes from those people. I think that I've mostly seen just excuses, not necessarily nuance, right? Like not them saying like, oh, like I can hold the tension of like, Sincere is really struggling with this. Like I haven't seen people doing explanations so much as I've seen people being like, well, at least he was honest about, at least he's straight up and we know that he's a liar, right? Like that's what I've seen at least. So I don't know if people are able to provide nuance about other people and not Casey. I haven't seen enough of that content to have a real opinion about it. I would say that highly likely it's motivated by anti-Blackness though.
Can I just say that I think if someone also can answer this question, do you think the reason why the girls were piling on Casey was because they could not attack Sincere because of Melanie? I can't just wrap my head around it. I think one of the reasons why the girls were attacking Casey, that's the Trinity, Kada, and, Anaya and Mel, is because they could not attack Sincere or their men because their men came back to them even though they've done something during Kasamo. The men still came back to them. Casey was the only guy that didn't come back to Anaya. So they had the opportunity to attack Casey, not their own guys, because, they came back, but they cannot really attack them for their action because they came back to them. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. I think, yeah, that is a contributing factor. I mean, Melanie definitely, she been dragging Sincere by his bundles since she recoupled with that man after Casa. I don't know why she took that man back. Cause she laid into him that night and has been, pretty much telling him, I don't trust you, as she should, since then. But it's like, we should have just chose differently. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that like, yes, part of it is, well, at least my man chose me. And so I can't really be mad at him. I also do think that they genuinely, oh my God, they really actually felt offended that KC brought someone back in because it violated the unspoken social rules of the villa. I think that they truly felt like an offense had happened to them because he violated the rules of the villa, right? Which has been couple monogamy island. We've heard that from too many people that have left for us to think that that's just their interpretation, right? So I think that because he violated that, they truly felt like you have harmed me. And so now I get to attack you. And I do think that Trinity has some inflated beef because of the story that Bryce told her. And she felt like you said that about us and you didn't even stay in your couple, right? So because it's not about the validity or the strength of the couple, it's about the longevity, which is why we heard Kata say, we've been together since like day 3. And his brothers say, y'all have been together since like day 2, right? Y'all have been together since the beginning, day 1, Zach and, Bryce and Trinity's family, right? So there's this idea, this thought that because we've been together for so long, that must mean that we're a better couple. And so also the offense of like, how dare you have said this thing about us when we stay together. But anybody else have
For
thoughts
me,
about
what
that?
I don't get is the public and media reaction to KC versus Sincere, because it just feels so extreme. Because I feel like what Sincere did was a lot worse. Every lie this man told has had an effect on the trajectory of the entire villa, versus KC was just maybe distastefully expressing his feelings after being asked how he felt. And I don't get why people are interpreting KC's words and actions as disrespect versus Sincere. Like when people feel he was disrespectful when he was talking about how they don't have anything in common. And then it's like, that's not disrespectful for one, but
they be conflating definitions, child.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then the media portion, why is Sincere the only person getting picked out where y'all are like, oh, the Disney post about him, and I don't get, why is it just him that's being negatively put in this way? That article that came out where they're saying he's accusing him of grape culture and all this and that, but you're ignoring Corbin and Kata's coercive behavior.
And
what is
Casey.
about KC in particular?
They wouldn't have done
And
that.
that's what makes me feel like it's really just racism being packaged a certain
100%.
way.
100%.
But it's also odd because y'all are trying to pretend like you're doing this on behalf of Anaya, a black woman.
Come on.
But he picked another black woman over her.
Wake it up.
And you're going after TT. You're trying to, you're making these memes, making her look like masculine and him as a baby. Like, it just does not. And that's why I hate how we have this, when we are online amongst ourselves as a black community, infighting or having discussions like this out in the open, and you have certain, so we're not a monolith, but so there are certain people in the black community that are enabling this terrible talk. They're enabling, YT people and stuff to talk about Casey in this way, and not realizing, like, if this was outside the show and we were dealing with politics or news, whatever, y'all would be looking at them out of pocket because it's racism. Y'all would recognize this, but because you don't like him and you feel like you're projecting your past hurt from your dating history onto him, you're willing to accept it. And I just don't, the dissonance of it all. It just, I don't get it.
And I push back just a tiny bit when you said, well, first of all, you answered your own question first and foremost. And you're absolutely right. The only where I disagree is that you said if we recognize that this was racism, we would not have had this. We don't recognize that anymore, or we wouldn't have the person we have in office. Because
I guess I'm talking about like black people. Like, I feel
that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. As much as we want to talk about the 92%, we don't talk enough about how many of us did not show up and vote. So we have to take that into consideration as well. I think we're in a time where, especially if you're a progressive and on the more progressive side or either Democratic side, is that we're watching people having to negotiate racism in order to move progress. In reality, if that is not your bar, you're going to find yourself repeating the same exact things over and over and over again. That's why I said, like, y'all, this is a microcosm of what we are living through right now, because we have allowed certain Black people to hold, or Black adjacent to hold spaces to where we are allowing attacking, one of our own in a community online, and they cannot wait to publicly humiliate a Black body. It has been their MO from the start, the beginning. And I'm not just talking about America, I'm talking about all the colonizers that happened before America. Yeah.
May I say,
Yeah.
I feel like it feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, you know, and I feel like in the beginning, because I'm trying to map everything out. In the beginning, with the whole door situation, I knew deep down within me that it was gonna come back up again with KC. I didn't know how, but I knew it was gonna come back up. But I feel like throughout this season, we saw where Casey was battling within himself of like, what do I do? Who do I choose? What works best for me? Whereas with Sincere, each conversation, each person that he had, he fully just embraced it all. Like he was like, oh yes, this is the one for me. I'm in it with you. You didn't see that internal conflict with Sincere, even though he would say, oh well, it's like having two fishes, or it's like chocolate chip cookie dough and pistachio, or it's like, well, this glove doesn't fit better than this glove. You didn't really see that internal conflict when it came to
His interactions with the girls.
exactly his
Only in
interaction with them.
confessionals.
Only, and even in the confessionals, you could still just, it was, he was very flippant about it.
Correct.
Whereas with KC, you could see how he was really trying not to hurt Anaya's feelings, but also be honest with himself. And I think that's why a lot of people say, oh, well, Casey lied. And like, well, why would you say all of these things to Anaya and then just to go choose TT? And you could see that, like, he was very conflicted. He was telling Anaya, well, Soul is a beautiful woman. And like, if it's mutual, then we'll do it, but if it's not, then like, why risk what I have? And I feel like Casey was so relatable that I think it was hard for people to see, to look at themselves in that mirror. They're like, oh wow, like,
So it's like KC would think out loud in front of the girls. Well, but he would be asked though.
I hear what you're saying, Majestic. I want to see if I can.
Cause I get what you're saying about like, yeah, Sincere would show it in the confessionals where he's comparing and contrasting, but he wouldn't. But with the girl in front of Melanie, he would just be like, "I'm with you" or whatever. But I guess then it confuses me, like, how do people interpret what Sincere as being genuine with the girls, and Casey is lying and being flippant because especially with Casey, because he's being asked. If it's not like he's just volunteering the information.
They don't see him. They don't perceive him having the up and down conversation with his partner as authentic or genuine, because they see the way in which it impacts Anaya, right? well, now she feels destabilized. And so now there must be something wrong with the way that conversation went, rather than understanding he's trying to speak to the honest space of where he is as best he can, while also, considering your feelings, right? Because Sincere only did it in the confessionals and then just lied to their faces and told them the things that they wanted to hear, that felt okay to them. Yes, Lola.
So they're taking in the information, that they're taking in what KC is saying, but instead of interpreting it and coming up with their own conclusion, they're just going off of how she reacts to what he is saying to determine if that's good or bad.
Instead of them saying like, "Ooh, he's really tussling with this and attempting to be vulnerable. He's obviously experiencing some ambivalence. He's obviously struggling with this thought." They're like, "Well, why doesn't he just say one way or the other?" At the end of the day, even though we know Sincere was lying, he at least was saying one thing. And so they're okay with that in a way that they're not okay with KC's. And I will say that this goes back to, I made a video about this. A lot of people are not good people because to like hold space for you, right? They don't know how to do the messiness with you. They just need you to stop talking about that man and get to a place and whatever, right? They don't know how to do the muck and the mire. Lola, I know you want to say something, but I need to address something in the comments real quick. My friend, I don't remember your name, that talked about KC having an attitude and laughing during the recoupling. I need to just add some points of clarification because I like actual data if we're going to like have the conversation. And I hate that we're talking about the recoupling again. But I do want to be clear. KC did not walk into that villa giggling. KC walked into that villa with his head down because he saw Anaya was by herself and the feeling of guilt and shame. He attempted to express himself despite feeling guilty and hurt at seeing Anaya hurt. He tried to express the truth of his situation. And when he said, "I understand that they told him, boy, shut the fuck up." Before he could even get out 3 sentences, they said, "Boy, shut the fuck up, Kata and Trinity." Okay. Cause we're going to play back what actually happened, right? They said, "Boy, shut the fuck up." And he said, "No, I'm serious. It does hurt me to see her that way. And I understand that people are going to be mad, but this decision is not for Anaya. It's for me." And that activated all of them because they can't conceptualize why would you not be centering Anaya in your decisions. And they perceive that as selfish rather than the actual fundamental function of the show. Right. So that activated them. KC takes it. KC only becomes frustrated finally after they're all yelling at him. And at some point they calm it down, right? And he says to Ariana, "Nobody picked me night one." And what frustrates me about, I'm going to be honest, what frustrates me about this part when we have this conversation is that you all keep saying he's mad at Anaya for not picking him. He said, "Nobody picked me." He's not making it Anaya's fault. He said, "Nobody picked me," because that was the truth of his experience. He was not picked by anybody in the villa, right? Which is different than Anaya's experience because Anaya was explicitly rejected by Sincere. She has no idea how anybody else might have, received her, right? But KC had the explicit experience of starting his journey being rejected by everyone in the villa. And that is a fair thing for him to name and saying, "And now I'm picking the person that shows me explicitly that they want me." Like, what is wrong with that? That's not actually that outrageous of an idea. And we're going to talk about the giggling thing. He actually wasn't giggling because he felt uncomfortable, Spartan. He started giggling when Trinity tried to buck at him and TT told her to chill the fuck out. And if we're gonna clock KC for giggling, are we also gonna clock Trinity's man leaning back to Zach and giggling at TT telling her she's a little girl? Or do we only have smoke for KC? And again, this goes back to, are you actually discussing and whacking fairly? Or are you hyper fixated yet again on the black man on the show? And then ask yourself why.
And also, Tina, reminder that he explicitly said why he seems to laugh and giggle in the love letter to Anaya. And everybody just continues to skip over that inside and outside that villa.
Yeah. Lola, go ahead, my love.
I just to bring us back when someone was asking, is Anaya self-centered? And I said yes. You just made 3 good points. Remember, you said that she goes back to people with the emotion of the message she has gotten from Casey. For example, like you said, when Casey tell her something, then she goes crying, and people can't really tell what exactly Casey has said, but they can just go with what Anaya is telling them. Do you understand what I mean? That's why I'm telling you that she is self-centered in that aspect. You also made a good point. You said that when Casey said, I'm doing this for myself, it clocked to them that, wait a minute, this guy is being selfish. The reason for them being in that dating show, like I said at the start, it's a dating show. You're meant to find your love. You're meant to come there, find your connection. If you don't find your connection, you get dumped, and that's okay. And they are forgetting that you're there for yourself. And even though in a way it can be looked at self-centered, but you can't really, to be honest with you, Casey has been very, very considerate of Anaya's feeling all through. And we saw that. And we saw the repercussion of that. And now that he decided to pick himself, people were still blaming him for doing so. So I feel that Anaya has not been really considerate of Casey's feeling throughout the 3 weeks they were together. And that's why, if you notice, he said he had resentment, and people are misquoting that resentment. Resentment is that he said we were fighting a lot. He said we fought a lot, and at the end of the day, we were not able to come to a resolution. And I think people are missing the part that the communication they were having was one way. Sometimes Anaya will, and I'm not blaming Anaya. Like someone said before, she does not have the intelligence, and I think she has to build on that. And one thing I would commend her for is her giving opportunity for someone, or her also listening to somebody, and trying to give that opportunity to Casey to speak up. And I also wish that Casey had regulated his feelings towards, even though it's going to break Anaya's heart. Tell her how you feel. Don't sugarcoat it. And it just shows that just because of their age, and I think it's because they're quite young, and people are forgetting that these are young youths. They are in their early 20s. They are young adults, whether we like it or not. They're not experienced like we adults have seen things. So I think this is a great experiment, and I'm not going back to it again. But like I said before, this is why I was pointing out why I think Anaya was self-centered, and the fact that she's able to, I won't say manipulate, but people are saying how the message that Casey is giving to her, but they're not asking Casey. The girls are not asking Casey. They're asking Anaya. They're seeing how, they're seeing how Anaya is reacting, and they're going based on what Anaya is doing. And that's kind of impacted the relationship that Casey had with the other girls too.
I want to say 2 things. Number one, yes, like they're not asking Casey for his perspective. What the audience is doing with Anaya this season is what they did with Amaya last season. You see the emotional reaction, and you're not letting yourself see the totality of the situation, right? And that's not fair to Casey, to be perfectly honest. I also didn't think it was fair to Zach K last season, to be perfectly honest, right? Zach with the K. The other thing that I wanted to just offer one more time, because you brought it up, and I think it's a good thing to name. Once again, I said it earlier, right? But the resentment that Casey names is explicitly about him not expressing his emotions. That's what he says. He says, I just kept pushing, like I couldn't really express my emotions, and I was pushing them down. And I think over time, I started to build resentment. It was resentment around the fact that he felt unheard and felt like he could not share what he really wanted to share in a way where it would be received. And maybe he did not trust that they could actually work through it. And Anaya knows that, which is why she had said to him about movie night, it's because you didn't feel heard, right? She has some formulation around the fact that he has also struggled in this experience. I do think that oftentimes, unfortunately, her friends act as a barrier to, again, her and Casey actually being able to reach resolution, though I'm glad they finally did. And then Fuck, I forgot the last thing I wanted to say. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I was
I
just
had a
going
therapist talk to everybody after movie night because the first time they sat down with each other, mind you, that was a mirroring thing she did. Kenzie had her convo with Corbin, and then Anaya was like, "Let me go do mine with KC." That
I
first time
think that was
around, though, she didn't
production.
let him talk. Yeah, she didn't let him talk that first time around, but then all the movie night craziness happened. Then all of a sudden, you're able to let him get a word in and express his feelings. And her whole demeanor was different the second time.
Can I just say good night? It is far in my time.
We're gonna head to bed too, Nikki.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to drop down a listener and fall
Yeah,
asleep
lucky I'm
to
at
this
work.
conversation because this is why I stayed up so long, because this is the type of conversations that really drive progression forward. And we need more people willing to be vulnerable, as Majestic did tonight in Lola. And with Lola in particular being so receptive to critique. These are examples of what I look for in characteristics of people. And shout out to the almost 200 people that are still in this live. I mean, I know a lot of y'all probably sleep right now. I know Nana is probably sleep because, she just do that. But I just wanted to thank you again, Tina, for being the voice of reason to understand why we are needed to be engaged in pop culture the way it is, because I fear that there's not enough of us, enough of you, I'm saying us, content creators that are brave enough and courageous enough and being in the arena enough to have those difficult conversations. And despite whatever conversations are had behind you, your star is also continuing to rise. So this amount of level of hate and discourse, just to deflect from what you personally need to work out in your life, is it's not sustainable. At some point in time, people are going to get tired of just hating, and we need to lead more with love. And leading with love has a lot to do with telling the truth in a respectful, gentle, loving way, as we do. Yes, we clock, but it's also it's always come up from a place of love and Black liberation up in here.
Period.
Yeah. So I bid you all good night. I'm going to drop down to listener, and thank you all again for sharing everything. It's been a wonderful conversation. Love y'all lots.
Thank you, Nikki. I agree. Listen, y'all, I love my space because we're able to do this. I love that people feel courageous enough in my space. I say all the time that we are a brave space, not necessarily a safe space. You might get some shit that gets questioned or pushed back on or challenged, and that may feel uncomfortable, but we are brave enough to do the uncomfortable thing in my space. If you let yourself be, right? If you can't, then this will feel terrible. I remembered the other thing I wanted to say. Someone mentioned both Anaya and KC being bad communicators, and I'm going to just add a tinge of nuance to that. I actually don't think that they're bad communicators. I think they just have communication gaps. And to be fair, most people do, right? One of the number one things, it's a joke in marriage and family therapy graduate programs that you're going to have couples come to you for, is they're going to say, well, we just can't communicate. And it's like, well, y'all are communicating, right? You may not be using words. You may be missing each other, misunderstanding, but you are communicating something, right? And so most people have gaps in their communication. It really does take intentional effort and even an ability to see that you have them to develop the skills. And so I don't want to say they're necessarily bad communicators. I just think that they don't have the skill set yet for some of the pieces. I think they did their best to navigate with the skills that they had. And yes, I do think that they both have other skills they need to develop. Other than that, I love y'all down. Like, I love our community. I think, honestly, I don't care. I feel like we're the best community on the internet. This space in the Badlands, because we be over in the Badlands too. But I love y'all down. I'm so grateful to have shared space with you all tonight. I'm glad that we were able to have a space after folks felt, big feels tonight. And so we were able to come in here and just do what needed to be done and have the discussions that needed to be had in a way that hopefully people are leaving the space still feeling cared for and maybe just a little bit more hopeful and like seen and validated and supported. So I love you all. I will see you all tomorrow.
Have you before we go?
No, yeah.
Have you thought about collabing with Blue Toulousma?
Yes, y'all leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, Kiki, she actually used my timeline video in one of her subscriber
Yeah, I had saw she put you in one, and she was asking what your handle was and stuff
Yes.
and everything.
We did end up connecting. We are mutuals on here. Nikki be like, so did you DM her yet? Did you DM her? So we are gonna try. And I will make the connect. I swear I will. But yes, I would love to connect with Blue. I think she's a really important voice in this discourse and in most discourse, honestly. So I would love to do that, and hopefully that happens soon.
Okay.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the follows.
Let me get back to work. Y'all get some
Are you
Enjoy your
gonna
evening.
Are you gonna be on